Game Table, and I got some very special guests tonight for a little round table here at WBC. A Wargame Chat with Dave Heath, Uwe Eickert, Mark Herman, and Nate Rogers, the Gimpy Gamer. And everybody knows me. I don't have my funny hat, but hey, this is good enough. But we wanted to have a little chat, being this is pretty much one of the biggest wargaming conventions in here. Is Uwe kind of eased up. This is the type of crap we got to put up with this guy.
What?
And this is what's so great about it. And this is what's so great about this community. But we're having fun, and
You said it was a war game, right?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, wanted to have a little chat. Wanted to have a little chat with all these guys about what everybody has experienced in the gaming industry over the years and how things have kind of expanded, especially with the renaissance in wargaming this past 5-6 years, and how it's affected wargaming. So let's start off with a funny little story that I heard today. Not with you. We'll come back to you in a minute. But David Heath from Lock and Load Publishing. Drink some more whiskey. David Heath from Lock and Load Publishing.
I've had no whiskey yet. So.
Not yet, so get started. You're way behind.
So you're moving up on most sober.
Exactly.
I'm drinking Diet Coke. Don't let it fake you.
He worked for, who was it again, David?
Victory Games.
Victory Games, interning for none other than Mr. Mark Herman here, who told us the story. So Mark, why don't you take it away?
Oh, so basically, what year was this when you were 17 now?
I think it was 17, 18, and it was gotta be 84.
So
84 to 85.
So we just started Victory Games as 84, and I get a call from the New York City public school system, and I don't have a kid in the school system there, so that's always the beginning of it. And they say they got this intern program, they got this kid, and he'd like to intern at a game company, and they said, would you take him on? And I said, what the heck? So in walks the 17-year-old version of this guy at the end here. And I remember the first thing he says to me, when do I get to design games? I go, oh, that's a copy machine. Here's a stapler. And that was his story. But I will say that the good news is he looked at what I did, he did none of it, and that's why he's successful.
And you were just talking about Atlantic Storm and how you liked the way that came out. But
it came out great. I gotta say, beautiful, great, I guess, republication of Ben's great game. Yeah, I guess I've played that game. That's like, it's not that, I play it once every WBC, so once a year, and I didn't bring it this year, and then I saw it, oh my gosh, it's for sale,
Yeah.
so I got it, and I have to say, this is a better, it's upgraded, the cards are good, I have to remember what's faded.
Yeah.
That's nice, because I never could before, so it looks great. I think you can be very successful with it.
Well, just think about that. You gave him that start, and now you get to see some of the
He
byproducts.
gave himself his own start.
Yeah, but you helped him along.
I
so-
will be honest, he may not know this, and I make him blush a little bit, but you got heroes as baseball players and all that. He was literally, him and Eric Lee Smith were literally my gaming heroes as a kid. And if anybody that's ever enjoyed anything at Matrix Games that I started and ran for 12 years, or Lock and Load or anything else, you gotta thank that guy, because he really gave me a chance. And I'm gonna make him really embarrassed now, but I was late for the Board of Education meeting, remember that? I was all upset, and you told me, don't let him discourage me, and you told me about an old guy that you knew, who was about 80-something years old, and he taught you that you could do anything you want, because he told you he was gonna learn the guitar, and a year later he played the guitar.
Yeah.
And that really did inspire me. And so all you guys out there who like anything that I've ever done, you can really thank him and Eric Lee Smith quite a bit.
One question:
You're more than welcome.
can you play the guitar?
I think I should.
There you go. Now,
And I still can't.
now, there's what's the excuse for that? But
I never tried.
now we did see today. We took a look at your game, Versailles 1919, and a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Very interesting game. Still, massaging some things you said.
Of course. Yeah, we're
Some
not
cards
there
that you.
It's
thought
like,
were a little
I
powerful.
call this a 90% point.
Sure.
And that last 10% is about the other 80% of the work.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. No.
He knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, the last, I'll tell you something. If you learned anything from me, is that a lot of guys, almost everybody I know in that hall there, they can all design a game.
Yeah.
The hard part is finishing the game.
Sure.
That's the deal. And so, I'm like a closer at a baseball game.
Yeah.
And then I throw the last pitches and finish it off.
And when is the game finished? When you abandon it, or?
No, never abandoned the game.
Not
No.
abandoned, but when you just say.
Well, I gotta tell you, this is what I learned from Jim Dunnigan. Jim Dunnigan once told me, he says, no game is ever finished, it gets published.
Sure.
So you do have to sort of pick a point in time when you're gonna be done by. Now, it's a lot of work to get there, but, and you don't put a game out, like when I did Churchill, I finished the game, it went on the P500, made it to P500, and I was looking at it, so it's getting ready to go to press, you know, I mean, to art department, I looked at it, and I called Jay and said, I don't like this game.
Yeah.
So I threw it away, I did another one, that one worked out well. But sometimes you gotta look at it and say, it ain't good enough. And
Yeah.
so, yes, you have to publish it, but if it's not really,
If
you
it's
just
not
don't,
right
you
there,
don't,
yeah.
you don't turn out garbage.
What was the toughest game you ever designed?
Toughest, well, actually, the two toughest, I think, in my mind were We the People and Churchill.
How so? I mean, what was
Again, 'cause because when I finished the game, it was a game. I mean, it had
Yeah.
rules, pieces, it had play testers, everybody liked it. I just, if I don't, like, if I'm not like a fanatic about it myself,
Mhm.
then I won't publish it.
Okay.
And in both cases, and that's how I ended up getting We the People,
Yeah.
it kind of went the next level.
Sure, fair enough, fair enough. Now, Uwe, what about you? What's the toughest game you've ever designed? Throw you right under the bus, right?
Well, the thing is, you know, I take years also to put out a game. I mean, Storms of Steel was
Really?
supposed to be out 3 years ago.
No, Academy puts them out like that.
Yeah, yeah. And Conflict of Heroes is now going through its 3rd edition major change.
Yeah.
Rules change. And, you know, I always say, there's the Old Testament and the New Testament, you know, so if they can change stuff, I can change stuff. And, you know, it's gonna be another radical change
Yeah.
in the rules, but it's, as you say, I'm happy with the games when we publish them, and then as you learn stuff, and as game design is advancing, and as player expectations and player gaming styles are changing, I mean, gamers aren't the way they used to be, you know, they don't have the time, the gumption to read a huge manual. I mean, my wife and I played War in the Pacific twice the first year we were married.
Really?
We were moving, yeah, we were put up in an apartment
And it
somewhere.
took the whole year.
It took the whole year for both of them, yes, and, but nowadays, I don't have
Yeah.
patience for it in most
Time.
of our customers, so we're, you know, you have to change with the times, so that's what we're doing.
Sure.
My hardest design is really working with outside designers, have a really good idea, but they still don't have a concept of concentrating on one really, the important part of the game, the part of the game that is fun,
Sure.
and cutting out all parts of the games that bog down the fun part.
Yeah.
And from their standpoint, they say, well, this is important. What's important? It's a game that either you're trying to teach them something or they have fun.
Yeah.
So get rid of the trash, you know, find the boundaries of what you need to get that cycle of the fun part going. And so that's the hardest part, working with designers and getting them aware of it. And so we just work with very open designers who are very smart, can take what you say and then go beyond it. And the rest we're now slowly just weeding out, we're cutting out a lot. Because designers have to realize what was a good game 4 years ago, publishable,
Not
you
cutting
can't
it.
do good games anymore, they have to be exceptional games, because, what, 6,000 games were published last
Yeah.
year? 6,000?
Yeah.
And every gamer who's a designer, I get every week
Oh,
a beautiful, I mean, from Game Crafters, a beautiful, almost beautiful game,
Mhm.
every week. You guys get probably games all the time also, and it's like, I look at them and go,
Mhm.
you know, sorry, this is not
Yeah.
of our interest,
Yeah.
because half of them are just
They don't fit
from
your.
the 80s still.
Oh, yeah.
And then, no, I'll be, if it's good, I don't care if we'll publish or not.
Mhm.
I'll go through and talk, say, great ideas, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are just like Chutes and Ladders,
Yeah.
version 2, with a different blanket over it, and they don't understand the development of the game industry and game design.
Well, to be a good designer or good developer, I think you have to be a good gamer. And by good gamer, I mean you have to be, you know, open to playing multiple types of games and seeing the different ideas and how they evolve, you know, with each game, and how the mechanics intertwine and the experience it gives the gamer. Because that's the biggest, you know, thing as a gamer I look for is I want the experience. You know, some people want to sit there and math it out in their, in their heads, and that's fine. they wanna play the optimal route. Me, I just like to poke at games, see what they do, and then, you know, after playing it a few times, then I'll start going, well, now I know everything works. Okay, now I'll start playing a little more optimally. You know, that's just the way I play. Everyone does, but that's what I find enjoyable.
Yeah, well, you want to say something?
We're getting to you.
Look, I gotta be honest, like, I feel kinda like a Padawan sitting next to Yoda. I'm just like,
You and everybody else.
Um,
Mark, you're used to this by now. You get this everywhere.
No, actually,
You're still not used to
if
it.
my wife was here, she'd be giggling in the back. So
my wife
anyway,
is over here actually giggling in the back.
but, thank you, but, so, I guess I guess what it is I'm not looking, going back to your point, there's 6,000 games out there,
Sure.
right? So, the question is, how do you get attention? And by the way, how do you get attention with a advertising budget of less than zero? I got a Twitter account and all
Sure.
this stuff. So, I focus on doing something they haven't seen before. Now, that gets me in trouble. I don't care. I will tell you that a lot of my games, it comes out, a good example is this France 1944 game that I did back in 1987. Came out, and it was like, you know, gamers like, okay, I recognize all of this, oh, there's one little innovation, I'm very happy, it's an innovative
Yeah.
game. I kind of tore all that up.
Mhm.
They were less than happy.
Yeah.
30 years later, this game was done in 87? And so now it's getting republished, people want it now, so.
Of course.
You know, so I don't make,
It's fan mail.
no, what I've got is, I've got a granddaughter in a house in Cape Cod, and there's a motion camera,
Oh,
and I think
okay.
she's running back and forth in front of it.
Keep
So,
me honest.
No, my wife, I'm sure my wife's chasing her, but anyway, anyway, going back to, the point I'm trying to make, so, my biggest problem has been making a series game, so like when you've done a great job with, you know, Conflict of Heroes, you know, there's sort of, you know, you're trying to build this brand, and I basically suck at that. You know, Churchill is within shouting distance of Pericles, but it ain't Churchill.
Yeah, but you have these political simulations is what you really have.
I like to think that I have an opportunity for you all to sort of experience being Churchill,
Sure.
which is what I was looking for. When I did Empire of the Sun, it came out, it took, you know, first 3 years everybody was upset, and then its ratings have gone up, and now 10 years later everybody says, wow, it's a really good game. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of more where I'm at, and so I guess I do it that way because, one, that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
It's got to be a game I want to play.
Yeah.
I am a gamer, you know, so I
Yeah.
play a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
But I have to say, I don't have that, I mean, I play, you know, what do I play most of all the my friends get all the Kickstarter stuff.
Kickstarter, yeah,
So
sure.
and they're all, I just play theirs. So, I have no more room in my apartment. But the point is I see all this, you know, the basic stuff, you know, play it once, okay, and I have to say, I never badmouth a game, but out of all the Kickstarter games I've played in the last 3 or 4 years, the only one I really like is Rising Sun.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of them, you know, I'm not saying anything,
Sure.
you don't know which ones I have.
They weren't overwhelming, yeah.
You know.
Nothing that innovative.
Right, but I'm trying to do something that, with no advertising budget, if you played it, you went like, okay,
Sure.
I never seen this before, and that's okay. That's the only way I'm gonna
Yeah.
get noticed, and that's what I'm going for. And again, although I will say Fort Sumter, I just, you know, is really, you've played it.
Yes,
I played
yes,
it to you
absolutely,
in San Diego, and what I did this time was, I told my wife, I said, you know, I've been married 40 years, and I said to her, you know, I don't understand, like, the idea of hard. My
Yeah.
idea of hard is not, she goes, you can't talk to normal people.
No, you can't.
So I said to her, so she was my developer, and we played the game, and she said, this is not for normal people. And we went through 7 versions, and finally she said, okay, and that's the one we published. So, and I now see women playing it,
Yeah.
and children playing it, you know, dogs playing it, everybody's playing it, so I'm saying, I learned something.
Well, your
I'm
wife's
outsourcing
hired.
complexity.
Your wife's hired for the next game. She's a great developer.
She's on
for
it,
sure.
she's on it for the next one. So for me to do that kind of game, I need help in understanding, I'm just not good at that.
Well, it goes back to what, you know, we were saying about being a gamer and playing all these sorts of games, and Lou was saying that, you know, you guys take your time getting your games out. David, I know we've worked on different things, and, you know, we want to try to get a little quicker at getting games out, because that's one of the things is you want to get them out fast, but not too fast. I know GMT has their process as well, where you have to go through a development process, art process, things like that. But it's tough because there's so many things that you have to do to make money, get attention, as you know, you were saying about a low budget as far as advertising, year zero. A lot of it's done through social media. You know, you really have to reach out and get, you know, be friends with people, use these people as kind of boosting your signal. You know?
And this is part of that boosting the signal.
Sure.
No, this is
absolutely.
definitely
You're my microphone to the world.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the things as reviewers, like Nate does it as well, and we want to get out there and share what we enjoy, what we love playing with people, because there's a lot of people out there that don't know about these things, and I wonder how many wargamers, or people who have been wargamers, say 15, 20 years ago, have gotten out of touch with gaming and don't realize how board gaming itself has just undergone this massive renaissance, and wargaming has undergone a massive renaissance as well.
Well,
Nate?
I gotta take and interject, because you're right about that. I'm relatively new to wargaming, and I've only been involved in it for a little over a couple of years. And I had no idea it ever existed, anything like it, counters and chits and everything, and I started looking into it, and I saw something, and I decided, okay, I want to get into this, and I was telling Mo earlier, I'm like, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to jump into a big one, so I wanted to get a monster game. Well, I'll get World at War, or something like that.
Empire of the Sun.
And I ended up
That's a
picking
simple one.
Absolute Victory, because I was
Right.
like, okay, this is the biggest one I could find. You know, first war game I'm ever trying, I kind of sat down with it, and it looked like Chinese. My wife can vouch, I sat there for a few days until I figured it out, and started the YouTube channel because I couldn't find any videos on it to learn how to play it. But he's right, there is a younger audience who's looking for something along those lines nowadays. A different type of experience than they're finding, because so many of the other games that are getting released are kind of cookie cutter.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? They have relatively the same basic mechanics. I'm not going to call it specific ones, but this game will change a small aspect of it and then release a different theme on top of it.
Well,
You know what I'm
we were talking about it, there are people off camera too, I'm gonna point to them, so don't, I'm not pointing to you, although you may understand at home what we're talking about. We were talking about the other day that, you know, you could put out, and no offense, Mark, I'm not picking on you.
Go
You
for
could put out a Gettysburg, a Bulge game, and Stalingrad,
And
what was-
Waterloo.
and a Waterloo game every other month or every month, and it's gonna sell. It's definitely gonna sell. Now, you've got one coming out in C3I, but that's a little different because that's intended for the beginning war game.
Yeah, I will tell you that one of the first games I'm old. And so I actually know I knew Charles Roberts, I knew Gary Gygax, I mean, everybody you can name, I knew them, and they were friends of mine. And so I've been playing, one of the first Avalon Hill games was Gettysburg. And that's what we, Battle of Bulge, Gettysburg, that's what we cut our teeth on when we were kids, and, it was hard to get them. There's one game a year coming, there's one Avalon Hill game a year published. Okay, just imagine that situation. So we used to wait for the game.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, the 10 were published today.
Another month.
10 new games were published today. There was one a year.
Yeah.
And you had to walk, we were Kid City kids, right? It was a place like out in Westbury, we had to go there. That's the only place that sold them in the city. So anyway, it was a whole big deal. But the point I was gonna make is, I had never done a Gettysburg game because I couldn't think about why I would do a Gettysburg game. Because I had literally 150 Gettysburg games.
Sure.
I was never gonna do one. But when Roger said to me, Roger McGowan, by the way, if you don't know Roger, was C3I, he said, I run a beginner game, and I said, okay. Then I was willing to do Gettysburg because it wasn't, and what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna be, in essence, recreating the blue and gray quad. I think, you make a great point. So, when I was 19, I went to the first Origins. And it was this, and I got a copy of the first La Battaglia della Moscova, 4 maps, 2,000 counters, and I spent 48 hours straight playing it, because I was 19, I didn't need to sleep.
I wish we had the energy again,
Yeah,
right?
no, well, but what I realize now is, I have responsibilities, I got things, I run a building in New York, I'm on the board of directors here, there, and everywhere, so you don't have the time to play 48 hours. I sleep for 48 hours, maybe, but I can play a game for 48 hours. And so, I'm finding that people are looking for an hour experience, sometimes they're looking for 2 hours, but it's like a 1 session experience, and if you can't finish the game in 1 session, so yeah, I might have a game that has a longer campaign, but the main game is like less than 2 hours, and if I'm not doing that for you, then you're not gonna play it.
Sure.
You don't got the time. And so that is very different from the old SPI days, what we used to do.
Well, it's kind of funny, you were talking about that, and then Uwe was showing me yesterday, or 2 days ago, when we were showing me the updates to Conflict of Heroes, and how it expedites the game even more. And it was a fairly fast-playing game as it was, because it's a you go, I go, literally one step at a time, to where it almost had a real-time feel. When I did a review, and I said, it has a real-time simulation feel to it, or a real-time strategy game feel to it, I should say. Now this one's even faster. You said it's 30% faster.
Right.
How did you come to the conclusion that it needed to be updated, and how did you work out the mechanics on that?
Well, Marine Corps they do a lot of use our games for training. And meetings in the last year with them, down in Quantico and other places, they were saying that a lot of the young kids playing first-person shooters, they're good at reactionary, just firefighting,
Twitch,
meaning
twitch,
twitch, yeah.
Twitch
And
and click.
when they're going up the ladder, all of a sudden their platoon or company ladder, leader, they don't have really that heuristic, subconscious ability to make a good critical decision for tactical and strategic placement of machine guns, mortar fire, artillery, combined arms. So they wanted a quicker, more God's eye view version of Conflict of Heroes. And that's what we worked on over the last year. And I was just at Quantico last week and going through it with them, and now they love it.
Oh, yeah.
So again, Storm to Steel has been 2 years where it was supposed to be published 2 years ago. It came, it went out of stock 5 years ago, and all we had to do was reprint it. And I wasn't happy with it, and we've really made some changes. Our Gettysburg was supposed to be out 4 or 5 years ago. And, yeah, I know. And, but I'm happy with
that was the Civil War con, I
Exactly,
wasn't
I
on
know.
the inside know of that one.
And it's tough because we, luckily we have series of games, and our games, our average war game sells between maybe 30 and 45,000 copies. So it's good that we have a $90 war game that, like Awakening Bear, we're already over 45,000 and
Yep.
growing.
That's great.
Mainly because a lot of military overseas people buy it, non-war gamers buy it. But we do a lot of advertising also. I
Sure.
mean, we advertise the snot out of the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Getting more and more bloggers, hopefully some even sitting here, where we try to support your time and effort, which is so much, people don't realize how much time and effort it takes, even to do something like this and
Sure.
set it up.
Sure.
And the amount, all the food you gave us beforehand.
Paid 'em
and,
off.
You know, the full buffets, you should see the dressing rooms he gave us before the show and all.
He missed it, he was too late.
It's phenomenal, you know.
That's why he's all glassy-eyed, because he was falling asleep.
Oh, yeah, the lobster dinners he got us and all, that costs
I'm-
money, I
I'm
realize.
When you can't make friends, you buy them, that's how,
Yeah.
that's my mantra, right?
So,
Oh, am I missing some? I thought they were supposed to keep us happy. Right? You're not supposed to do that, right?
I think you're right.
The trick is to
We're
make you
Mexican.
think that as you're doing it for us.
Oh, there you go. Dave's got it on the right hand.
but you know, it's, the marketing, advertising, everything is changed, and as you guys can all test also, it takes 95% of our day, 95% of our day isn't designing, it's running the business. And the marketing and working with reps.
That's Gene's problem, not mine.
Well, unfortunately, it's our problem too,
Yeah,
and,
gotcha. But I used to do it, I took,
You know what it's
I ran
like, you
different
know?
games, you know,
Yeah.
I had the whole thing, but now I'm having a good time, I'm just making,
yeah. Well, I have a good time also, but it's, the industry's changing so quick, and the way games are being presented, the mechanics of the games are changing, there's so many good games. I don't play war games either. We play almost every game coming out from Kickstarter, and I agree with you, half the games coming out, I'm going like, these huge $100, $120, $150 games, they look beautiful, and the game mechanics are like,
Pretty blasé.
they're blasé,
but
you know?
no, it goes up to your point, and again, I'm not sure, the people who are reviewing them and gushing on them, I'm going, what are they seeing that I don't see?
Well, they're going for,
check
yeah, they're
look,
going for an
yeah.
audience though that's
Yeah,
not as sophisticated.
well, I don't wanna dump on the audience.
Well, I don't wanna say
No,
it's
no, no.
not
Yeah,
sophisticated,
but
yeah.
what I'm saying is that I'm trying to understand why people like it. Forget about, my taste is not their taste.
Yeah.
And if there's a lot of them buying
What's
it,
the hook for them?
what's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
hook? And it seems like the minis are a big deal.
Right.
These are huge.
Massive.
Yeah, and a huge deal, but at the end of the day, I wanna play a game.
Yeah.
You know, I did used to play with toy soldiers, but that was a
Right.
really long time ago.
And I didn't mean to say sophisticated in a negative way. What I
Yeah.
meant by sophisticated meaning that the multi-layered games out there, like, you know, like Puerto Rico, which is just a genius game in the different type of structures.
Or any of the
There.
splatter titles, those ones are very deep.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many games, the classic games that are very deep, the intricacies between how you can take different strategies and patterns, the interlaying of you do this and it influences that. There's some incredible games out there. So that's what I meant.
But however, I would tell you that I'm seeing, You know, I've listened a ton of Tom Vassell stuff, right? I know Tom from back in the day, and, you know, I've concluded that the market that he's talking to, I'm not saying he's talking to everybody, the market he's talking to, it's an hour or less, it's a medium to very lightweight strategy or, you know, mechanic, you know, efficiency game, worker placement, whatever the heck it is. And the way people, there's a whole, I think the majority of the curve of people who want to play, it's they want to come over, they don't want to play a game, they want to play 4 games that night.
Sure.
And they want to play 4 different games. And so that's a different economic experience model than a war game that's going to go for 3 hours. That's only, you're going to play 1 game. And I'm seeing that, for instance, I was an experiment for me, but now I sort of had an epiphany around it. Sumter, by being just 20 minutes long, people go, they play it and go, oh, let's play it again. And somebody told me, I have multiple people tell me they play the game 20, 30, 40 times, and I'm going, I don't know that there's many of my games I've played 20, 30, 40 times.
Even testing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I played Pericles, you know, 50, 60 times, but, you know, that was over years.
Sure, yeah.
But that's how, so that seems to be more the experience that a lot, and again, not the hardcore, you know, there's the 3 Sigma, the guys with the 4 maps out there, I love those guys.
Yeah.
I would even do that once in a blue moon, but I haven't got time for that, but that's not where, you're running a business, that's not where the market is.
Well, like Fort Sumter is, you know, like a filler, basically, is what it really is.
I like to, I really
Well, no,
contend
no.
as a short game. Filler is
No,
always
I-
almost like a,
no,
no, everybody says that and you
Yeah.
say it, I get that. But my view is, it's actually a deep strategy game.
Oh, absolutely.
But in 20 minutes.
Well, that's the thing, it's a filler as in, it's a time filler, you know, a
Yeah.
short time filler, you can, it's a warm-up or a cool-down game, and it's a warm-up game that gets your brain going, because it makes you think a little bit.
That's fun.
So you can warm up and play, it's like, hey, we got a little filler, or, you know what, we're done with this game, we're gonna get these guys, we're gonna get these other 2 guys over here, we're gonna play this game, we got 20 minutes to go, let's play Fort Sumter. You know, something like that, which is, it's thinky, it's fun, it's fast, but the key is it's fast. You can knock it out in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so it gives you that good experience. Now, talking about, you're saying about the Marine Corps and about dealing with them in Quantico with your Agents of Mayhem that's coming out, talking about Kickstarter. He's got a pretty cool Kickstarter. Have you seen that one?
I told you to get out much.
You gotta share it with him.
No, we were hit up by Deep Silver Volition, who do the Saints Row series of video games. That's the game where it's like Grand Theft Auto, just a little worse, you know, bad versus evil. One of my favorite parts of Saints Row is, you know, when you knock out this one person out of a purse, is the most lethal weapon in the game, which is a 4-foot purple dildo. You know, that's the type of game it is. When they called us, said, hey, we played your Fallujah game, your urban fighting combat game.
And they show a real connection with that.
And they said, hey, we loved it. You want to do Saints Row? And I go, what's Saints Row? And he gets defensive and said, well, you know, we're not one of the big guys. We've only sold like 33 million copies last year. And I go, really? I'll call you back.
Not impressed.
Well, no. And I go to Walmart because I still, you know.
Holy crap, I can't believe this guy called me.
And then I found out later, he goes, well, you must be over 35, right? I go, yeah, I'm older, so I don't know it. But going to Walmart, you say, ever hear of Saints Row? And they go, yeah, those top 2 shells, it's a great game. I'm like, let's try it. And
Is
so
it a
we're
computer game or a board game?
computer,
It's computer,
Xbox, and all
Xbox,
that, yeah.
Console.
And so for us, it was a challenge because doing war games and all that, but we're taking our war game, 3D war game, and just converting it over. And what we're hoping is to get a lot of young people playing that, because we do the hard part. We're taking an engine that would be so easy to make just a sci-fi game out of it. Anything can happen, you can just design it any way you want, but we have to be historically accurate.
Sure.
Because I had people, when we came out with Conflict of Heroes the first time, saying, I'm not buying your game because on the cover, you know, your T-34 has a round copula instead of, you know, the, and we're like,
Don't you love those guys?
well, my instant reply is, well, you don't know the experimental copula, the T-34 AC, right? And of course, they're like put right defensive, and I said, well, look it up, you know, it's, I'm sure you know about that, and just forgot about it. They go, oh, yeah, of course I know. You know, it's like,
The
but,
rivet counters.
but it's,
You keep that, you could be president of the United States.
Fake news, fake news.
yes, I could. I wouldn't wanna be president because I wanna be the guy behind the power. You know, the Dick Cheney.
The puppet master.
Well, I already
Yes.
got that, I support my wife and everything.
There you go. But you know, what's interesting is that it's very, so we started a new company because we didn't wanna get people confused
Mhm.
with our Freedom, the Birth of America series, our Freedom Underground Railroad series. So we started Apollo Games. And starting out brand new is tough.
Mhm.
But, there's a whole market there, and they're playing very sophisticated war games, but they're orcs versus,
Yeah, it's
You know.
the overlay is different.
yeah, and your World of War series, and your, you know, the old Shogun and Roman, I mean, phenomenal
Yakuza.
games, yes,
That you got wrong last year.
I know.
BGG comp, that was fun.
I know. But, so, I think when I say the sophistication is, a lot of people when they're playing games, they don't wanna think, they just wanna react,
Sure.
have fun.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is the critical thinking aspect of games, and there's so many good ones. I mean, coming out now, like Jamie Stegmaier does an incredible job with what he did with Scythe and Charterstone,
Oh,
and
love
games like
Charterstone.
that. Charterstone's
Played the
phenomenal.
hell out of Charterstone.
Don't tell me, I'm only on 9.
Won't
Game
spoil
number
it for you.
9.
We love it. We played, my wife and I, we
Really?
played a lot of Charterstone. We use us, and then we use one of those little
See, I hope
autonomous to fill it
He
out.
twists the zombie. I hope the Overlord's like this evil guy who's manipulating the soul.
Spoilers.
sucker and-
Spoilers.
No, I'm just
Spoilers.
making it up. Just making it up.
The best thing though is that recharge kit for it. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
being able to flip the board over, same
Yeah.
thing on each set, and then start over.
And Gloomhaven. And
No,
they're
Gloomhaven, yeah, that's another
great
big one.
games.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many good games out there.
Now, you're bringing up a good point. Now, I'm gonna cut over to David here for a second. Have you played or seen any of these legacy games? This is what Uwe was talking about here. Have you seen any?
Yeah, actually, Blackwell, a graphic artist, loves the legacy games. I don't, you know, to me, I'm not so much a designer. I know you're all thankful, but I'm more of a developer. And from my point of view, I think that I'm grateful the games are coming out hard and fast because I really think the hobby was dying. I mean, my first game, I remember where I bought it, was Rise and Decline of the Third Reich, and I got it at Toys R Us.
And look where Toys R Us
Yeah,
is.
and now there's no Toys R Us. And I think, I know for myself, my son met you last year, Mark, and, you know, he didn't know who he was, and he asked me, and I told him.
Who's that old guy over
And then he
there?
goes, who again?
He did, but, you know, the thing I'm really focusing on is, I want dads to be able to take a game and teach their son what they like. I mean, my father didn't play war games, but he loved watching me play with my friends' war games, and you can't replace that.
Well, that's the beauty of like a game like Tank on Tank. You can sit down and throw it on a table and you can play with your kid. Because
That was a
it's
great
a very
game.
simple game to teach, but it has deep strategy. There's thought that goes into each move you make because you gotta think your path through before you make it because you gotta think, okay, I'm gonna go this way, but he may go this way, he may go that way. So there's reasoning, there's analytical thinking going on. So it's good, you know, father-son or daddy-daughter time to play and teach your kids how to play these games and also teach them some reasoning, you know,
Yeah.
what they're playing.
But all my oldest is more of an Xbox guy. My other two kids, they'll play Twilight Struggle, they'll play Twilight Imperium. Daddy doesn't have that much time.
I've heard about this Twilight Struggle. Has anybody played it? Just kidding.
But yeah,
Actually, you know Terry Coleman. So Terry and I, we see each other once a year, so we decided that we played Twilight Struggle so that we would have, we played Twilight Struggle for 9 hours yesterday, on Wednesday.
You were telling us about that.
Because I
One game.
had a Versailles game going behind me, and they asked, Terry thinks they interrupted us 180 times perhaps. But, you know, asking, what about this, what about, you know, so they were asking questions and people coming by.
Yeah.
So we were just having a great time and we were playing like, oh, whose card is it? You know?
Yeah, okay.
Well, we got through the whole game and I'm happy to
Chatting.
say that at the end of the game, there was no order of victory. I lost, but there was no
Yeah.
order of victory. That was all I was
Exactly.
good. I was just looking for that.
You got the Rocky win.
Yeah, that was my, that's exactly, you said it that way.
Yeah, you said it that way.
Right, round 15, I'm still up. I'm good.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's a great game. And, you know, talking about, that's a good segue into the next thing, is digital gaming. You know, GMT announced this week that they're gonna be doing Labyrinth Coin, things like that.
Baby.
Fire and hell, yeah. And then they finally got they had Twilight Struggle out. David, I know you're doing that as well. You know,
Yeah.
you're getting more of the computer games, or I should say digital games to computer. What about you? Storm's this deal? 5 years? 10 years?
Conflict
Conflict
came out
of
4
Heroes.
years ago.
Heroes.
Oh,
He's got
digital.
conflict of interest.
Yeah, computer and everything.
Yeah, you
4
guys
years
are on
ago.
Steam, aren't you?
Just busting
Yeah, we were on Steam and still are on Steam, yeah.
I know, I'm just trying to bust some shit.
Sure, you didn't know, okay, yeah.
No,
But I
no,
want to say
seriously
real
though,
quick,
you have, you know, like Conflict of Heroes and Storm
Yeah.
Sea, all that stuff. What do you think about the cutover to digital from analog? Do you think it's beneficial, or?
we're doing it just because certain people want it, but, you know, our sales, our huge sales are on board games. Board games are popular, you're touching, you're picking up, so the digital, we're working now with another company with our new AI, putting in the digital with most of our games, which we hope to be releasing the next year or two. But for me, the money is in board games. There's money in board games. You make money in board games. I mean, we just hired 3 new people in the last month, full-time salaried.
David?
Professional writers, and developers and everything.
Yeah.
And these are good guys, I mean, with master degrees.
Sure.
Most of them either mathematics, physics, we like the hard sciences
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
And there's money in it. You can make money, so there's so much competition, I think, in the digital. There are a lot of guys coming in trying to get into the board game industry, but the people who have a base already, it's getting more and more difficult for the new people to break in. I think 5 or 6 years ago, Kickstarter was a great platform.
Sure.
But Kickstarter is now changing radically, where it used to be that you could put a game that's in process, give people the idea, they'd support you. Now you have to have a fully done game that's been reviewed by 5 reviewers, have a full digital game with all the rules, everything done, all the miniatures, fully 3D digitized done, and the new companies can't do that.
You're right. I hate to say it, but I agree with you because I even look at that now. If I'm looking at a Kickstarter game, I expect that 110% done, perfect, and it's hurting some of those smaller developers who can't present.
But why
that
is
level.
it hurting them? It's hurting them because of all the games, dare we say, you know, upfront card game, that all the people put money into, and for whatever reason, it never comes to be. And there's other games like that too, whether it be computer or board games.
Yeah.
You know, and
I would say that it's also been, I mean, again, I don't play most of the stuff, but I think there's been, if I look at the broad set of reviews as sort of a gestalt thing, a lot of disappointment when it comes out. You know, the games are underdeveloped, you know, they rushed them out, even though it was Kickstarter, so I think even Tom Vassell dumps on it a lot. You know, he says, he actually rails against it sometimes. So Kickstarter, I think where Kickstarter has really been valuable, if you wanted to do miniatures, and I have done, you know, remember Monarch Avalon's a printing company, so I was running part of a printing company at one time, and miniatures, the cost, the upfront, the one-time non-recurring cost to do miniatures is pretty high. Kickstarter is a way that you don't have a company, you can get somebody to make you the molds, you can get the stuff made, and some of the stuff looks, by the way, gorgeous.
yeah,
Some of them, I see some of these miniatures like artwork.
More than gorgeous, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's really, it's good,
incredible.
it's amazing stuff out there. But that can't substitute for the game that the thing sits on top of.
Right.
That's the problem, you know, and like I said, I've heard some things even tonight, and I'm just keeping my mouth shut. Because when the camera's up, I'll tell you what I think. But anytime.
Cameras are off, Mark, tell us now.
No, I gotta tell you, there's no point in that. You know, I'm entitled to my opinion, but doesn't mean I have to express it out loud all the time.
Sure.
That's what you happen after 60, so you realize, you know, that thing that was the preloaded thing I was gonna say, just don't say it anymore. It really helped me out.
But, you know, I think the Kickstarters are very important even to companies like us, because it allows us to hire and pay for these professionals, because if it weren't for Kickstarter, we go through full distribution, we only get 34 cents on the dollar.
Well,
And
it's always been that way.
And
50, 10, and 2, baby.
right, and we have to, on 34 cents on the dollar, we have to pay 20 cents on dollars for our printing costs and everything. And on top of that, then we have the royalties for that 14%. We have to pay our royalties, the rent, the overhead, all the salaries, the light, everything else. All of a sudden, we have Kickstarter coming out, and it gives us all of a sudden the opportunity to put out a game. We've been lucky, you know, over the last 5 Kickstarters, 3 of them were over $750,000. That gives us cash to get in a lot of good people. And when I say 3/4, that's Kickstarter and then the ensuing CrowdUX that we use on top of it. So even like our Agents of Mayhem right now, you still go on the Kickstarter, light backers can still get everything.
Sure.
A little more expensive than the Kickstarter.
Well, yeah, of course.
Same with our tutors now. We have 2 still that we haven't delivered. And people say even, you know, if you run one Kickstarter and haven't delivered, you can't do another. Not true. You know, if people know you now, they know you're putting out a good product. So we're running at a time maybe 2 or 3 Kickstarters where they haven't been delivered, but when they deliver, we want to exceed customer expectations. But that money, we need it, because, so I can hire good people, so when we get 150, 200 emails a day, that we have someone competent to answer them. We have phone numbers, we publish them everywhere, you wanna call? It takes time, money, so that's where Kickstarters are critical. And then it used to be that stores would say, oh, you do a Kickstarter, we're not gonna support you, because you're taking all the customers away. Now, if you don't do a Kickstarter, the stores
Yeah.
won't buy your
They
games.
don't take you seriously.
Right, so the more successful you are on Kickstarter, the more people you sold to, the more the stores will support you now,
Yeah.
because they know it's a hit, they get it in, and they're gonna sell more. So Kickstarter has done a very big transformation, I think.
Yeah.
And and we're fighting to stay on top of it.
Sure.
And we spend probably, just in advertising, probably $25,000 on a Kickstarter campaign.
Well, that's the thing too, is, you know, you've got these Kickstarter campaigns, you've got digital, there's such a change in the landscape from what board games have been. When you talk about, go back to the days when you were young, and you were getting these flat packs and things like that.
Well, you know, when I fought in the Battle of Gettysburg,
Well, before that, well, you're Yodi, you're 100 years, no, seriously, I mean, when you go back to, you know, the flat packs or any of these older style games, like you were saying, one game a year. Now, there's a game every week.
remember the big
Yeah.
innovation when I came in with Jim Dunnigan and Redmond was, it wasn't one game a year.
Yeah.
It was, and that upset the Avalon Hill guys
Yeah.
at the time, but at Jim and Redmond, you know, they got the magazine, so now there's 6 games a year. And we were putting in about, I guess about 20, 25 games a year.
Mhm.
It was at least 2 to 3 games a month were coming. Now, SPI was,
Yeah.
it was like we worked a lot.
Mhm.
I put out 18 games in 2.5 years when I was at SPI.
So what we need to do is, what you're saying is, we need to get you lighting fire under Gene's butt to get some more
No,
games done.
no, because half those games from SBI weren't that well developed. Half of them were genius,
Yeah.
half of them,
Well, I want to be clear. One,
no offense, but
yeah, I'm
half
not
of them
taking
were
any
good,
offense.
half of them were really
Fight,
bad.
fight, fight.
No, no,
You're in the middle.
No, I
buddy.
gotta tell you, so
Just kidding.
different world. In other words, I look at the SPI rule. Still play those old games, and the SPI rule book would never pass muster in today's world. However, you know, 80% of the audience was playing solitaire. They were arguing with nobody.
right,
Yeah.
So there wasn't
Right.
rules arguments when you were with yourself.
right,
So the market's just a different world.
right,
And as far as development goes, some of them yes, some of them no, depending on who was doing it.
yeah.
You know, the people who were talented managed to get it done, and there was some, you know, yes, there was an armada with a ton of errata and the fall of Rome, but that was really the exception, not the rule. But I'm not trying to carry water for our old company. It's just there was some cool stuff that was done. People enjoyed it. They had fun. See,
Right.
there is a fun factor in an old SPI game. It doesn't have any. The graphics are, you know, we were doing 2-color games. I mean, I used
Black
to-
and white, right?
Well,
I'm
Redmond, pretty close. I mean, Redmond was a genius. He would get blue paper and he'd put yellow on it, and now we had, you know, we had
Yeah.
woods. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, you know, he had 2 colors. That's all the press had in those days.
Yeah.
There's no computers. It was all typewriters. But that's why when you hit the thing, there's not a computer next to it. But the whole point is that those games were fast and fun. You could learn an SPI game probably in 20 minutes with the rule booklet. You could play the game, and there was a game there. Now, was there some errata? If you look at the old moves, yeah, there was always some errata, but it's still errata in our game. So
Right.
we didn't do any better or worse than the current market. But what was happening was a high fun factor, and the audience that we have now, those games are actually easier to play in time than some of the ones I see out there.
Sure.
Because they, you know, they're just faster. And so my point though is that, and when I see people talking about, you know, oh wow, look at that innovation, I go, wait a minute, I saw that in S&T 43, I think, you know. You know, but they just don't have the history.
Right.
You know, that a lot of this stuff is old coming around again.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I think the point is that see, like you're sitting in a city, you got people working for you, and I'm in a cave with fire and a stick doing
Yeah.
this stuff because, you know, I'm a one-man band and I produce games and I send them off to a publisher, and I have good working relationships with all those guys, but I'm in a different situation. I'm the independent designer. I'm not
Right.
the publisher anymore. I used to be a publisher.
Right.
Victory Games did quite well, and
Yeah.
I would probably say that those Victory Games rule books hold up reasonably well.
Well, those were good games.
Well,
I'm not arguing there.
no, I'm not saying
Yeah.
you're arguing, but I'm saying, but the rule booklets were good booklets, but even by today's standards, I look at those booklets, they probably would not cut mustard. You know, we didn't have enough diagrams and enough holding your hand stuff, and that's just different.
I also think the public didn't need it. The gamer back then didn't
Yeah,
know that.
well, I said the world's changed. I mean, that's absolutely right, David.
See, what bothers me, and one thing that,
Slide in, guys. Finally, we got the rest of our crew here. We've got the players Aid, Grant, and Alexander.
We
I'm
got
sorry.
Greg Smith.
Yes.
I love Greg.
We've been having this long chat. These guys were supposed to be in it with us from the beginning, but hey, they just blew us off.
Yeah, that's all
Oh,
right.
this is Alexander, that's Grant, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yes. So these guys are the players Aid. You guys watch them on YouTube all the time. You know them. So, and I don't mean to keep putting my hand in front of Uga's face. I'm just.
and their family. Ask them
And their
someday
family.
how they got to know each other.
Oh, and twins separated at birth. Look at that.
That is a good Twitter
They're-
question. So
They're
shoot it.
brothers that married
Brother-in-laws,
sisters.
yes.
Brothers,
Are married, brothers or, they
we
married
just,
sisters.
sisters,
Listen.
so we're brother-in-law.
Listen, no, I'm gonna say 5 times online, then it's the truth.
Well, you guys have joined us a little bit late. Very late.
Sorry.
Slackers. But anyway, we've been having a really good conversation, and let you guys jump in now because you guys are in a little late.
So what do you
But
think?
first, but first before that, I wanna go back to David here. What do you see as the biggest challenge for publishers today, as far as getting the attention of the customer and keeping it, you know, retaining that customer?
Honestly, what you guys do, Nate and you and Players Ed, I think this is priceless. Okay, and I really think that a small company, and I do feel your company is up there.
No,
All right, say what you want.
you're bigger than we are.
I don't agree with that. But I think that is really how you get the word out there. You go to the conventions, you shake the gamers' hands, you show them your games, you play the games with them, let them decide what they like or don't like.
Dave,
And,
I gotta say, David, I've always told people I think you're a genius when it comes to that because you surround yourself with people like me and Mo and the Players Aid.
How he leads with me and
see the genius? No.
Exactly. But you take, I see you and some of these guys come here, hey, come here, and you
Yeah,
welcome them like
yeah.
family and like, hey, let me buy you a drink.
Because without these guys, I mean,
Yeah.
they don't live because if there's no games. We don't live
Exactly.
if there's no interest.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. And, you know, Mark in his cave or me in my office, you know, if there's nobody binding or playing it, that's where it stops.
Yep.
It doesn't matter how great the game is or really how crappy the game is. Because, and I see a lot of dads, like I said, wanna play games with the kids and kids, I mean, we have a real disadvantage now because you've got, we call them vidiots at my house. You know, because all they wanna do is play Xbox or PS4 or both. And, the idea of slowing things down, putting something on the table, I mean, I could be whipping these kids and I'd be much more appreciated by them. As a done, can I go back to my game? So I really think that the marketing part of it is to give the guys who enjoy doing that as much access as they can. I mean, besides you 3 guys here, I mean, Kevin Sharp's big board table, sorry, oh, okay.
Forgot
They
Alexander.
consider
But they're one.
That's true.
They are the one. You know, Kevin Sharp's big board, I mean, I like these type of guys because I believe they're gamers. These guys don't give a crap that it's his company, my company, Mark Herman. If the game is bad, they're gonna call you on it.
Marco Arnaud, he's good at that.
Yeah, he's
Marco's
also,
good,
yeah, Marco's second, another one like that, yeah. And that's what I really like. And I have bought many games because of everyone in this room. I
Army
watched the
Medic.
video, turn around, saw something, ooh. I mean, I was talking today, RAF, last night we were talking about that RAF game.
It's my favorite
Yeah,
game.
I asked someone on the table, what's your favorite game? And, what's your favorite game? Right, yeah.
Chess.
Honestly?
That's such a cheap
It's,
answer.
it's mostly true.
It's the oldest classic war game.
You gotta remember, I run the Marshall Chess Club.
Okay.
So,
Okay, fair
I'm
enough.
involved.
We played Gettysburg chess today,
We did play Gettysburg Chess.
definitely. There's some
I'm
chess
definitely
elements
heavily
there.
influenced by chess.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's not a bad game.
yeah, it's a great game.
Well,
Great
I
little
do have a
game.
question from the audience here.
There's an audience.
We've got,
Oh,
yes,
you've
we
got
do.
like a
Rocky
Twitter
Mountain
feed
Navy.
too?
Rocky Mountain Navy, thanks for typing in your question. We've got a question. Are game prices going too high? Better components equaling more costs and higher costs? Do we risk making a niche hobby even more niche?
Not at all.
I
Not at all.
don't don't think so at all.
Not all.
These two guys have sounded off your turn.
I think,
I guess I would tell you
Small.
that,
I already did the hero worship.
oh, we've been doing it for like.
He's like, oh no, I gotta go
You
through
know what?
again.
Crazy.
what I will hear, somebody might complain that a game is expensive,
Mhm.
but I'll hear more often, doesn't look good way before.
Yep.
Sure.
If it looks
totally
like
agree with that.
garbage,
Yep.
or it's not looking up to snuff, they will be more upset about that than
Yep.
they paid. Now, if they paid good money and it looks bad, then
Sure.
I'm with them. But if they pay good money and it looks good and it plays well,
Yep.
then they'll hear from them again.
I just had that conversation with the designer today. He says, well, I can't do this and this, it'll cost too much. He said, use that, give me the best game that'll exceed customer expectation,
I'll worry about it.
and we'll worry about it. And really, I don't wanna be a Burger King. I wanna be a 4-star restaurant.
So you don't wanna
Because
give it
guess
to me my way?
what?
Have it your way.
No, I'm gonna have Pierre, the waiter, tell you what you're gonna get, and you're gonna love it.
That's the smartest
And
way to
then
do
you're
it.
gonna come back the next night, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
But, you know, it is that way, because the wargamers in general are a professional lot. Usually, they've gone to school, they've graduated high school, they have a decent paying job, and they'll afford it if
Sure.
it's good. And you can have the best, nicest person in the world. You go in a bar at night, and there's the nicest person in the world sitting there that looks ugly as sin, and then there's the most mediocre girl sitting over there that
But a
looks
little whiskey and they
beautiful.
look gorgeous.
Where are you gonna go?
Yeah.
You're gonna go to the good looking,
Mhm.
if the good looking is incredible playing also,
Sure.
you're gonna pay the money.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
but the problem with today's industry is that there's so many games coming out, and I just wanna bring that point up, is that how do you keep the long tails going?
Once you teach them, here's a great game,
Yes,
then they come back.
But the problem
Because
is-
they've already had a good experience. It's like, you know, take that girl to the bar, you get to talk to her, what's the next thing you do? You got a second date.
Mhm.
That's the same thing with Ian. Why do we all play Mark's games? Because we had a great experience.
Because he pays us?
Well, no,
He's
maybe
paying
you.
you. So
But you know,
gotta-
why do we buy them?
Mark's like, damn
We
it.
had a great game in I played, in Pacific War in the eighties,
Yeah.
I remember, and, you know, I played Churchill, I loved Churchill. No, I don't think I would have bought that honestly from anybody else.
Mhm.
And so why is that? The game looks good and I had a good experience.
see, but that's for a percentage. The problem with today's industry is that there's so many games coming out, and we've had this argument with our reps, with the dealers, with stores. How do you get your games into the stores where people can see them?
Yeah.
How do you get them, the Alliance and AC to continue? And what we're told is, come out with a new game every 2 months, because that's the only way, and we were told that by our reps, and we were
Yeah.
told that by the distributors.
Stay
Because,
present in people's minds,
Right.
yes. Because there's too much of this cult of the new.
right, and
The
even
shiny
the
ball,
big,
oh, squirrel, oh.
Yeah,
we're
but see,
off.
Right.
there's a little mismarketing there. I personally think, and I know that this will come around, the day of the dealers is gonna be gone. Just like it was for GameStop and all, there's no more PC games in the stores. This is you know, unbelievable 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Think of it this, ACD or anybody, doesn't matter what the name, there was 500 games, 5, 6 years ago, a year. Now there's 5,000-6,000 games a year. I doubt company A, distributor A can buy enough of those games to get them on the shelf, which means that they're only the top 1 or 10%, whatever the numbers break out to, have any hope of seeing in the stores.
right,
That does not mean the other 90% suck. It just means that they can't purchase if they wanted to. And of course, if I was running the distributorship, you would wanna buy the top 10%. Why? Because you know that's
Right.
gonna sell. I could have
It's a
the
safe
crappiest,
investment.
I have the
Right.
crappiest sales guy, you should be able to get that in the store. And the only way you're gonna turn that around is online. This market is moving online, and it's gonna stay online, because you have to connect to your customers, and that, I think, is the big change. And you'll make more money, and you don't have to sell as much, okay, because of the direct selling. You're not having someone take 65% of your money away.
You're absolutely right about that. My local game store at home, less than half their store space is actually shelving for games. And then when you get that into how many shelves are actually war games, it's virtually nothing.
So,
Which I
yeah.
wish it was more. So if I want a war game, I'm looking online for it. I'm not getting it at the store.
When I ran Matrix Games, I remember customers tell me, oh, you cannot put them not in the store, you can't make them downloads. I wanna feel the box, I gotta feel the weight of the manual. And I was like, that's ridiculous. But now there's none. I mean, really, where can you buy a PC game store? You might find World of Warcraft. There's always gonna be that one exception, but once you pass that, what's the next game in line? And you mean to tell me none of us are playing computer war games anymore? I mean,
Well, think about computer war games, how much you make because you have your design, it's on Steam or whatever other platform, generally Steam, and people download it, there's no, media cost, there's no printed manual cost anymore, it's just straight digital.
that's not
Right,
true.
but that's.
Well, it's very
I don't agree with that, because you have the cost of development, you have the cost.
No, I'm talking about as far as like giving it to the customer. You don't have to get a physical product at the store anymore, and give a physical
I don't know,
product to the
when we
customer.
did it, we were given, because the manuals were a big deal.
Yeah.
Gamers want manuals,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they want
Well,
something in their
for
hands.
computer war games, yes.
Yeah.
You know,
But
if you
they're
got
not
40,
online
50
manuals.
pages.
Yeah,
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 now it's a
yeah,
PDF.
yeah.
Now it's a PDF, you're sitting there with your iPad like I am now, listening to your chat, and you're playing your game on your computer, so.
But I'll tell you something, if you look at the PC industry, I'm not as familiar right now, but when you have to start spending $50-60 million to produce a really top-end
Yeah,
game, they're not into risk.
Mhm.
You're not gonna get, they're gonna find an evergreen, John Madden football, or it's gonna be Skyrim, which is phenomenal. And notice they haven't put out another one in a long time because they're just milking the one they got.
Oh, yeah.
But,
They just announced the latest.
oh yeah, they released the latest one 2 years ago also, so. But I'm not meaning to dump on Bethesda, they do phenomenal stuff, but my point is that at that high cost to produce, maybe distribution's good, but that's $60 million is a sunk cost.
Oh, yeah.
They're not gonna take a lot of risk. I think board games is where you can take risk. I mean, yes, there's production costs and time and all that, but it's definitely not $60 million.
Yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah,
I totally agree with that.
There's also a bigger risk in board games because when you design it, like, you were talking about Versailles 1919 earlier, you're talking about updating Conflict of Heroes and then all the games from Lock and Load. When you print the physical product, it's out, it's in people's hands. If there's a problem or a mistake, it has to be fixed with errata. With software, throw a patch out. You're good. So it's kind of almost invisible to the user,
Yeah.
in that regard.
Well, our Freeman
Yeah.
Underground Railroad, we had to redo the boxes. We were getting so many complaints from certain communities in the big cities that saying, how can you put out a game about slavery? And the store owners were having real issues. And I disagree with you that the distributors will always be there. Middlemen will always be there, because the more middlemen you have, the more games you sell. I don't see this going direct, and I don't see digital. I don't play digital war games, because I like people, I like touchy. People said books were gonna disappear.
Well, I don't think the games are
So-
going digital, I think the distribution of the games are gonna go digital.
I don't think so.
And the reason I say that is because, again, you only have so many people, you have limited stores, it's not like it was when we grew up, okay? And a lot of these stores will not, most of the distributors will not carry anything but the top 10% if you're lucky.
That's
So how
frustrating.
do you get past that? And people said the same thing about computer games, there are no computer games in stores anymore, really.
Well, that's a good point. Now, you said something about, they're only gonna carry the top 10%. What do you do to become the top 10%?
Well, that was my question.
Not only,
Okay.
not only in board games, but specifically in war games. War games are a niche within a niche, so, okay, well, all right, it's easy to get Charterstone or anything with Jamie Stegmaier's name out there because he's got the name, it's gonna carry, just like GMT, the name's gonna carry, Academy name's gonna carry, Lock and Load name's gonna carry. But the thing is, what about these other games? And, High Flying Dice, how many games do you see, are you gonna see of those in the store? You're not, you're gonna have to buy them from the website. So, and even still, Academy, you still do direct sales as well as, store sales, GMT does the same, Lock and Load does the same. How do we increase that? How do we get the awareness out there for war games in the local game stores? And how do we grow the hobby from, the younger people up? Nate, you're a good example. You're younger than, well, you two are younger than everybody else here. So you guys are the future of the hobby, so we're rolling your shoulders.
I'm older than everybody else here.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're all aging is what I'm saying. We have to get the younger guys to carry the load and to carry on the hobby.
Well, I think they are,
Time to go.
because there are
Is
more and
that-
more kids
Time to go.
playing,
No,
They're
it's my
playing first-person
granddaughter
shooter,
in front of the camera again.
and these kids are interested. They're playing. We just played Twilight's Twilight Imperium.
Imperium.
4th edition, 2 thumbs up, definitely get it. We played 9 hours.
Really?
And thought it was only 3 hours had gone by.
That's awesome.
No, that's
It
a great
was
game.
Yeah.
You are.
awesome. So they're playing first-person shooters. Our military, we're the #1 military in the world. We're getting hundreds of thousands of young adults coming into the market every year out of the Army, Marine Corps, any DoD type service who are interested in this. We are a warrior country. War games are going to continue to thrive. We're only 45% of our sales are into the board game market. 55 are outside.
But these people all know how to get hold of you.
Well, we go to, yeah, but we push to go.
That's
to
because he puts his picture on his business card. Have you
I-
ever seen
I-
it?
yeah.
Have you ever seen his business card? If you've gone to a con, you've got to ask for his business card. He can sell you a house and a board game at the same time. Seriously, I'm not kidding. It is
No,
like the
everybody
coolest
knows
I've seen
card ever.
There it is,
There
right
it is right there. It is the coolest card ever.
Well, no, all of our guys have.
You need
we
to
put
get
our
one.
pictures on.
No,
Because,
it's
again,
great.
we're visual people. It's
It's
all marketing.
personalized. It's personalized.
But, you know, we have to work to get into the museums, into the libraries, the schools. I go to the American Library Association meetings. We do a lot of military sales, homeschool sales. We advertise into the Renaissance, and so it's out there. We're trying to break new boundaries, and I want the other guys to do it also, because every new guy you bring in is gonna buy one of my games,
Sure.
and every new guy I bring in is gonna
Spreads
buy
out.
their
Yeah,
games.
spreads the wealth.
It spreads
Yeah.
out, and that's why I think the war game market especially, we all get along.
Mhm.
I mean, when we're down in the dealer hall,
Mhm.
we all are helping each other out.
Yeah.
If I need help with art, I need with this, David's helped me left and right.
Mm-hmm.
The guys from GMT Games, from M&P, they've got Squad Leader,
Mhm.
ASL, one of my favorite games.
Mhm.
I push this stuff.
Yeah.
They help, I have problems with, let's say, I have a question with taxes, or how do we go about
Mhm.
with distribution, or I need a good 3D artist. I call
We'll
any of them
talk
up.
about sales tax today.
Yeah, we talked about sales tax. So it is such a close market because we all know we're not hurting each other.
No, no.
We're not hurting each other.
Well, actually, I was listening to Ludology. My co-designer on Versailles has a really good podcast called Ludology, and he had the I forget his name, the head of Stronghold Games,
Stephen Bonacourt.
Steve, yeah.
Steve,
The Podfather.
the Podfather.
I'm good.
But he made a really good point in there. He was saying that he's not worried about too many games coming out because the market's still expanding.
True.
And we are still, even if you think about even Euro games and all the kind of categories we go, we're still a small niche of the $75 billion game market.
Mhm.
Which is mostly the console units still, PC games and all that. But I think what's happened also is, I used to come into the room and my son was playing Xbox games, and they're all looking at the screen.
Mhm.
And I think people, after a time, are sort of saying, that's an old experience, and now I think the interaction piece, the human interaction piece, is actually the main driver for gaming. Forget
Sure.
about it's war game or whatever.
Yeah.
People want to actually look at each other, talk to each other, and I think that may be the better angle for us. That it's a human experience.
Well, there is something that you have over, your designs, especially your more recent designs, have over, like, things that Academy and Marmalade have done. Versailles 1919 that we're talking about today, that we played today, Churchill, Pericles, there's more interaction between the 4 players that are playing, 3 or 4. And
That's
just like
that's
that.
intentional, by the way.
That's what you're going,
Yeah,
you're going with,
absolutely.
is that, tactile feel of board game and then the human interaction personally, in person, and that give and take, that, hey, I'll do this if you do this for me and stuff, that bidding negotiation that you can't get online. You can, but it's a chat message, and I don't care who you are. But when you're face to face at the table with somebody, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And that is one of the coolest things about, these more recent designs of yours. And it also is it signals the crossover from Euro to war game and how they blend together.
Yeah, I think that, you see it online, I think we spend too much time on defining
Labels.
things,
Mhm.
labeling things. It's a game about,
Conflict simulation.
well, no, I think, for me,
Political or war game, it's conflict.
I think games are telling stories. it's storytelling, it's a different kind of storytelling. You know, used to have, Homer used to sit and sing a poem to them, and that was his storytelling. And then we've got our own storytelling style, and all good games tell a story. So now we're telling a story about, an age of conflict, whatever it is, tactical, whatever. But if you don't feel that story, then you're not immersed in it. If you have a story, you're immersed, and then if it's not onerous to play, that's when the fun part, it's fun to play, there's kind of like cool things going on,
Sure.
you're halfway home.
Well, I did have a question here about, what about unknown designers? I mean, you have an established reputation as do you, but stop looking at my whiskey bottle.
This is good. Crown Royal Black.
It is.
He told me
greatness.
it was Pepsi, Diet Pepsi all along. I was thinking,
And I roofied them too.
yeah, this is really,
Every con we go to, I say to him, I got whiskey, and he's like, so this is like part of the course. But the question was, the established designers. It's easier for you guys to get notice for your games. Everybody goes, oh, it's a Mark Herman game. Oh, it's a Eickert game. I'm going to know that and want to, check it out because you have an established reputation. What about the new guys that are coming in, whether it's through Kickstarter or, independent publishing or maybe coming out through Gimpy, Academy or Lock and Load? What about these guys? How hard is it for them to get the attention, and what can they do to build an audience?
They should talk to us.
The Player's Aid, guys.
Yeah,
No, that
this
is
is
true.
something we deal with quite regularly.
Good segue.
Every so often we get like emails or messages through various channels, and it's, hey, I've got a game, would you like to demo it and review it? And a lot of these people, it's their first time, they're like, hey, we got a Kickstarter coming up, and it's like, yep, they just ship us this thing. A lot of it's people's first time designs. Some of them are really good. Some of them are a labor of love, and some of them are like, this needs a lot more work. And each of those come with their various different kind of issues and problems. Some people like, it's their baby, they've been doing this for 25 years. And it's the same with any art form. Authors do it, musicians do it, like their first thing is like 25 years worth of work, and it's like, yeah, this is right. But then the next thing that you're gonna do in 2 years' time after that is gonna be so much better. And it's hard for people to kind of take criticism on some of their first time designs. So that's something that I think new designers need to just kind of like have a thick skin and like, it's okay. It's okay to like take some criticism on that and learn from it and make it another game.
And also, reviewers have to have thick skin because we get a lot of grief too.
Yeah.
well, and I want to say one thing though. Where do you think his accent is from?
Not Brooklyn.
No, just, what country outside of America?
Well, he knows.
Oh, do you know?
We played.
Okay.
We played.
I've been hanging out with him all day today.
Okay, do you know, Gimpy, do you know where he's from?
I just know it's sexy. I was
I was talking to him and I couldn't figure out, his last name's Klein, and he goes, he's not German, but his German's really good. I'm impressed. And then he met his wife in Germany, right?
Yes.
And he sounds like it's not from Nederland, it's not Belgian. I couldn't figure out. And it's like a New Yorker Brit.
And so I'm from England, if you didn't know that. So I grew up in Southampton in the
Oh,
South
now
Coast.
your English accent's picking up. Go back
I
to
can't
New
help it.
Yorker.
I can't
Go
help
back
it.
to New Yorker accent.
I just have to not think
He's
about
trying
it.
to become an American citizen, it's gotta kind of.
Yeah.
Actually, he has an announcement.
Come on, give a round of applause.
Not yet, no, it's not yet.
Say it.
I did talk a
Well,
little bit.
not fully.
He's
but-
close.
I took the US citizenship test 2 days ago now. Yesterday.
days now,
No, it was
yeah.
yesterday. It's still Saturday, right?
Yesterday, yeah, Saturday.
Oh, it's just, is it Sunday yet?
Yeah, it's Saturday.
Okay, Saturday. I took it yesterday, very early in the morning. Actually, it was in the middle of the day, thanks work. And I passed, so I'm on my way to becoming a US citizen.
Hey, congratulations.
Appreciate that. Sorry everyone back at home, it is what it is. But yeah,
You made the right choice.
Man,
that's what everyone
he
here has
jumped
told
to the
me.
traitors,
So,
rebels.
Well, you can't become president.
no,
That dream's over.
but my father was like, but your kids can.
You know what? Laws change.
Not that
Laws
one.
change.
I don't know if that will ever
You
work.
don't think it'll ever will?
No.
It's there for a reason.
Wow.
Why are you trying to do UVA 2020?
Oh, no, I've said before, I would never want to be president. I'd like to be,
The guy behind the president.
Yeah, right.
Right.
This is what you do.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a good old song that says, I don't wanna be rich and famous, just well off and well known. So, you know,
That's true.
cruise by through life.
That's
But
very
going back to new designers, and I'll tell you a different kind of story. So I have a friend named, let's just say he was a lieutenant colonel, lieutenant commander in the Navy, S3 pilot. I won't give his name out because he'll get an email or something. And we were friends, and we were friends for, most of our lives. He was a business arranger originally, but then he moved on, and we stayed friends. And then one day he was chief of staff to Rumsfeld, and he had a problem. So now I'm working for the Secretary of Defense. So then people say, how do you get to know people like that? Well, you have to grow up with them. So going back to your designer thing, I actually did do a first game once. It was just a long time ago. Everybody does a first game. My first one, what the heck was it? Oh, Battle for Jerusalem, '67. October War, somewhere in there is the first one. I forget. I think one got published before the other. But you have to look on this as a craft.
Yeah.
And how do I get my first game published? Well, you have to self-publish it, or just get a couple of copies. You can do print and play these days. You can do something.
Sure. Yeah.
And you're probably not, you'll sell 7 of them, but you've done it.
But
And then-
70 people bought your stuff.
Yeah, and you can get it to people like this, and they'll take a look, and maybe, you get some recognition, and you move on. But to build a reputation, you have to, see, Rome wasn't built in a day, neither a reputation.
True.
So, now I'm in my mid-60s, and I've been doing this since I was 12. So, there's a lot of mileage there.
Yeah.
So, but if you're not ready to do that, I don't know, what am I supposed to say to you? It's not gonna happen tomorrow, but it could. You're just saying it's unlikely.
That's true. Now, question, we're gonna start with David first and work our way back. First game that you designed or published? Talk about
Board game or computer game?
board game. Talk about what that feeling was like when it first went out there, and then looking back at it now, it's like, was I thinking, or is it, oh, it was pretty good. I kind of impressed myself. I did better than I
It was pretty
thought.
crappy, and I will not tell you the name, because if they find it, I'll have to listen to people.
I'll
But-
tell you later.
Yeah. But what I most walked away from it was, and I could do it. And after I left working as an intern at Victory, I literally got, by accident, an investor who was on Wall Street, and it was the Reagan time, money was flowing everywhere. He gave me a crap load of money because he thought it was a good idea, and I published the first set of games. And I remember Eric Lee Smith called me up and he says, "Wow, you did it." And that was the best feeling I had on it at the time.
Yeah, but you had that entrepreneurial spirit. That's,
Yes.
see, and you had, I'll say, well, you had balls, and that's good for you. You tried to do it, man. So you got to pat yourself. I pat you in the back, but you're a little far away.
For those of you don't know, he had Matrix Games, one of the best computer game companies out there. I mean, he
Yeah.
was phenomenal. I mean, you were the one who got me into a lot of computer games and everything. I mean, people know you now for your board games, but you were the king of video games.
I don't know about the king, but
You were the only
Yeah.
ball game in town there for a while. I mean, literally, you were the top of the pile. So, and then you got rid of that. You want to reset life, and then now you're going with the board game, and now you're saying you're going video game again. I'll invest.
You heard it here,
You know,
folks.
yeah.
Academy and Lock and Load are merging.
Yeah, as I say, buy Facebook stock. I got a good sense of this. But
yeah, after being at Victory Games and Mark and the experience there, I knew what I wanted to do. I thought in high school, but after I had done that, I knew what I wanted to do. And honestly, I very shortly looked back.
I got to tell you, he was the best copier guy I ever had.
You know what?
That's a joke.
No, but it's true. But you know what? Here's the whole thing.
They say, no, but it's true, I really was.
I remember wanting to do the best
Yeah.
because she gave me a chance.
Yeah.
And I remember making that phone call. I mean, I was 17 years old. Who's that?
I recall the first time first time your name came up in a phone call with David, and I've talked to him
Few times.
every friggin' night just about we talked on the phone, and, you know, we talked about, you know, his past experience stuff, and when he had said he worked with you, it was, you can feel the emotion there, as far as his youth, he was getting started, and, you know, you believed in him and you gave him the chance.
Well, yeah, but
And
I
he
tell you, he
appreciated
pulled me
that.
out of the blue,
Mhm.
and you know, I'm running a company, he
Sure.
pulls me out of the blue, and I don't know what it was, but I wanted to say no many times in the conversation. But somehow, I said, oh, what the heck.
Well, he
It worked
sounds
out.
though like he's connected,
Well,
doesn't he?
No.
So,
No.
you know,
Hey,
that
joint bag of
Italian,
donuts are gonna pay you
I gotta tell you,
visit.
no
Hey, my
seven-
Uncle Louis said to give you a call, you know?
I gotta tell you, there's no 17-year-old in the world sounds connected.
No, really.
No, you know, I sensed that he was gonna say no. I said, listen, I remember saying, I'll foul, I'm off the floor, I'll sweep. I figured, I gotta hit something he wants done, you know, and that was it. But yeah, I was
I never made him sweep, not once.
No, you never made me
did
sweep.
that.
File
Mom, but not
copy.
sweep.
Sorry.
But,
So, go ahead.
no, but yeah, that's what it was, and I really appreciated the chance, because it really gave me.
Well, I gotta tell you, sitting back now, I'm saying like, I feel very good about it. I didn't do much, I wanna be very clear, you did it all, but I feel good that I said yes once at the right time, so that's all I care about.
I remember you taking me to the library.
Oh, yeah.
For the one, and you showed me how you found the maps. And I remember you hand-drawing the Java Island, because it wasn't on the map. So you see, you forgot that, didn't you?
You know, like I said, you know, one of the good things about living before electronics was you had to do stuff manually.
Sure.
And manual type, and I know that sounds like, you know, living in the Stone Age to anybody. My kids, of course, are going, you know, making noises and stuff like that. If they see this video, they're just gonna go, oh God, Dad, I can't believe you embarrassed yourself. That's okay. But when you have to go through books to find information,
Sure.
you can't go, you know, I run I teach a class in statistics, applied statistics at Columbia University. And I do. And I have these kids, and I tell them, okay, I give a business case. And a kid will come to me, and he says, I couldn't find the data to do this problem. And I said, and I spent hours. I said, okay, how old are you? Okay, like 24. They're masters in OR in the engineering school. 24. I said, okay, everybody, get your watches. I call the whole class to attention. It's going to embarrass the crap out of this kid. And I go, okay, you got to Google up? He goes, okay, now, everybody time, in 10 seconds, he will have the data. I go, type in these 3 words. Okay, what do you got? So when somebody tells me it's right 2 or 3 hours, I'm like, is it 2 or 3 hours, like when you were drinking? I mean, were you thinking about it? So with that capability, in 10 seconds I can get any piece of information.
Yeah.
But I had to take them to the library because if you wanted to do research, you know, we had a computer, there's no internet. That's a problem. You know, so we could type, but we couldn't, you know, print the stuff out.
How many hours did all of us spend on Time Life World War II books?
Oh, yeah, well,
How awesome were those?
I'll tell you a
the
sad
library?
story.
I never read
I'll tell you a sad story. So,
I'm German, so
let's not get into that, no.
we had the Duden Wörterbuch, what is it? We had the encyclopedias,
Yeah.
the German ones.
Yeah. Well, you've never gotten to see the Time Life ones? The Time Life World War II books?
Yeah.
I'm gonna show 'em.
They're better, but so there's a thing called the Strategic Bomber Survey.
Okay.
And it's a 150 volumes. When I say volumes, some of them are monographs, but some of them are volumes. But
Sure.
and the copy I used to use, because you know who carries around 120 anything, was in the Pentagon Library. So I finished a job at a place called Crystal City, and for Empire of the Sun, I was getting all the numbers for the 13th Air Force. I had to get all these numbers, right? So,
Sure.
and this job finished half a day early. I was supposed to sleep over and then go back, and I had a plan. So I go to the library, and I go and do a lot of. So I had all these Xeroxes. I take the books out, Xerox copy machine, all that stuff, and I go home. What I didn't tell my wife though was that I had done all that because I was supposed to be in the Pentagon on September 11th for the plane hit, but it was on September 10th. So it's always books saved my life because I had some time. I went to the library, got my books, and I wasn't there when I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But going to a library and finding maps and then tracing maps and all that, that's how I learned how to do it. But when you have that feel for the actual mechanics of it, it's even when you have better tools, you still know how to do the basics.
Sure. I mean, it seems like today with all the technology, digital and stuff, everything's fast, do it fast. Back then, like you were saying, hand drawing an island or doing the manual research, it felt slower, more peaceful.
I know about peaceful, but it's
Well, no.
definitely slower.
But slower, but I mean, more peaceful as in, today it's about stress, fast paced, gotta get it done.
Go back to
Back
the
then
thing
you
about
did
the
research.
reputation thing.
Sure.
So you think that I can do this stuff fast and get a reputation fast.
Yeah.
Don't work that way.
No.
Yeah.
You can go fast here, but you can't go fast there.
No, that's
Yeah,
true.
but the data we have nowadays is so much better.
Oh, it
Because
is.
all the
Oh, yeah.
authors now are collaborating the data, we're pulling data from the Bundesaki, you know, the Russian, it's, everything is so much better. Even a battle like Gettysburg, they're analyzing more and more and finding more and more
More and more
data,
minute
you know.
details, yeah.
You know, Pickett's charge, well, not as many people died as say, a lot of them ran
Sure.
away now.
Yeah.
You know, things like that, I think we live in a great age right now, and
Absolutely.
but I'm like you know, I made my own squad leader maps. You know, when mine wore out, I'd make my own, and then I'd make new ones,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'd spend days, you know. And even when I was married, I'd go to my wife, look what I made, and she goes, yeah,
Who
nice.
cares?
You know, it's like right here, I'll put it on the fridge with the kids' artwork, you know, right next to it.
By the way,
Well-
let me, this is
Sure.
very important, so I'm doing Churchill,
Mhm.
and I think that people might have seen, I got my wife to do a video tutorial for it. So
Yes, I remember watching it,
It's,
yeah.
it's all true, and, so I'm sitting there one day, and she goes, what's the matter? I goes, I got this game, but I gotta play, she goes, and so she
Alright,
started
I'll help
playtesting
you.
it with me. Well, I have this pathetic face I could do for her that. I never just had to hang my face a certain way. It was really, it was a performance of a lifetime.
Carol, you're awesome.
Yeah, she is awesome. But, you know, sometimes, but she's the only person around sometimes, and I go, I can talk to myself, but it looks weird.
Yeah,
When I
well,
talk to you,
we're all
you're not
talking to
listening,
ourselves,
I'll be
yeah.
talking to you.
Exactly.
We
But-
kind of understand the whole talking to ourselves thing.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely, we do it all the time,
Yeah, yeah.
especially when we have a camera that we're talking. Does this sound stupid, I'm talking to a camera, well, I hope there's an audience listening. But, now Uwe, your turn. First game that you published or designed,
Conflict of Heroes.
and looking back on it now, minus the latest update, what do you look, how do you feel now looking back on it?
I mean,
No, I'm not saying critical, it's, oh, I could've done this,
no,
you feel proud?
I feel great about it because, and it was, I wanna go back to new designers. I mean, when I came out, the only reason I got into gaming was I sold a company, worked for Jarden, and was engineering for new product development, you know, VP of new product
Sure.
development initiative and new initiatives. And when I gave my resignation, they popped me with a 5-year non-compete. That was one of these, you know, my lawyer said, that's illegal, but they'll just keep you in court for 5 years and you'll pay me a lot of money. So go find something that's not engineering, not metallurgy, not
Mhm.
consumer items, not
I'll
plastics.
make games.
So I started with games.
Yeah.
And I right away looked into the industry magazine
Mhm.
and I looked up reps and I found Will Needling. I just always said find the
I know
best
Will.
guys. Yeah, Will Needling's a great guy. He knew everybody. I called him right away, said, hey, I've got a new game. And he's like, yeah. So I wanna hire you to represent me, get me in everywhere.
Sure.
And he did, you know, so, but those days are over now
Yeah.
because the industry, so for new designer, I recommend if you have a good game, try to get into an established company because the designer's name is meaningless if you get in, like with us, Brian Mayer never designed a game, we did, Freedom Underground Railroad.
Mhm.
A month ago, we couldn't figure out why nationwide they sold out.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, Wall Street Journal did a big article on it. The designer doesn't matter if you have a reputable company pushing it.
Sure.
You know, if you take a totally unknown and you say, okay, I'm gonna help designer lock and load, that helps a lot.
Mhm.
I think in general, designers have a good name, but people are now going with reputable companies.
Yeah.
The designers help, but designers, it's, a new designer can make it just as quick if he has a platform.
Sure.
In today's platform, I think a designer on his own, it's very difficult to break into the market. They'll do good on first game, but you can't make a living on it. So if you have a good game, you think you're gonna do it, keep your day job. Do it in the evening. make, try to
Mark
save
said
money.
he's still a professor, right?
Part-time, I also
Part-time.
I have an analytics company also.
So what I'm saying is, you have an analytics company, you're still a part-time professor, and everybody knows your name out there. So, it goes to your point, here's an established designer, he still has a day job.
Right,
So,
right.
it's not, you're not gonna make billions of dollars if you get into this job.
right. I mean, like
What?
Eric Lang is making,
It's not what you promised me now.
but guys like Eric Lang and all that are making, and Isaac, Vega, guys like that are really pumping out good game after
Sure.
good game after good game. But then again, not everybody's gonna put out an, what's that Angry Kittens card game?
Exploding Kittens.
Exploding Kittens.
See, and if someone brought that to me.
Oh, everybody
Well, no,
gonna
no,
go
no.
on.
I think it's
No,
genius.
it's
I
genius
know,
marketing.
But here's goes back to a point, I actually looked into that one in great detail, because I wanted to understand Kickstarter. See, you already had a huge website following cat stuff.
Oatmeal.
Yeah,
Yep.
the whole thing, so when he threw that out there, he wasn't going to the gamer market, he was
Yeah,
going to
built
this
in.
cat.
Yeah.
Well, he had the artist was the
Brilliant.
draw.
Yeah.
Right, but again, he had a following.
Yeah.
So he was an established something.
Right.
Who just sort of got a niche product that fit
Yeah.
into his
Yeah.
theme
Sure.
of cats.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I don't think you'll make it on Kickstarter unless you have a mailing list and you have a following, you have a base. You're not gonna make it.
No.
You're gonna spend more money and do it as a hobby. Instead of a boat, spend your $6,000 a year on your game and get it out there.
You have to do that. If
Do
you
it for the
really want,
passion.
you gotta do it every waking moment.
Yeah.
You can't sit
Yeah.
back and say, I'll do it on Thursday this month and Thursday that month, because that game will take you 30 years.
No, 5 actually.
You have to be
finish.
realistic with
Yeah.
your goals as well, though.
Yeah.
Because we've
No, no, no.
played some fantastic games from brand new designers, and then they like stick it on Kickstarter, and like the target's like $40,000. And you're like, no,
But that's because,
and they
You're not gonna
never-
make it,
not
yeah.
even close. And the game's really good, but they don't have a following.
so that's
Not
because that's a
everyone.
designer and not a publisher.
Well, the
Yeah.
problem is,
Or a marketer.
when it comes, Kickstarter's a different beast because you have designers that are new to this and they're trying to be designer slash publisher slash marketer, everything else. If you're gonna market a Kickstarter game that you've designed, you've gotta make sure you have a presence, you've got games out to every reviewer possible, and you build a following.
Yes, this
You
is
just-
like-
What the heck is this?
Did you really just?
Well, you
notice
didn't
that?
give us the
Tell
advice.
us.
You didn't
We'll
bring-
give you the booze.
Oh my God.
You didn't bring us the Academy one.
Now, let me put my logo up here, Dave.
There you go.
It's on the shirt, it's
Black
on the
crowd.
shirt, come on.
I just look around and go, dang, lock and
He just-
load, publishing.
That's how you want it.
That's smart. That's smart.
Like an hour and a half into it. All of these guys
Wow.
designed for Lock and Load Publishing, but no.
You even gave everybody in the audience, the lock and load shirts. How do you do this?
But the thing is, you have all these people that are jumping out there and doing it on their own, which is good because you're getting people that never had a chance before that can self-publish. But at the same time, they're not going to succeed if, like you said, if it's a $40,000 goal and they don't get the game out to reviewers and other people, content creators to push it on social media. That's really huge to get that out there because everyone in this hobby has to boost each other's signal. I mean, Players Aid, they do their own blog, I do my blog, Nate does his videos. I'm kind of breaking into videos a little bit like this. But we're all on the same team. We're helping these guys with their designs, we're helping these guys with their channels. It's all one community, so the big thing is help each other. Because that's how these Kickstarter guys that have a design will realize their dream. And it's a tough thing, but you gotta do it right too at the same time. And the way we're doing it right now is the right way to do it. Help each other out.
If I could comment on that, a lot of designers are passionate designers. It's all
Sure.
about the design. I think, David, you've been successful. I'm successful. We're all successful because for us as publishers at least, we like designing, but for us, the fun part is making our businesses profitable. For me, that's the fun part. So I'm not one of these guys, my game is my baby and all. It's you have to understand the market, you have to design your games for the market, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
You're making conscious decisions on what will sell and what the market's looking for. And a lot of designers are just passionate, it's all about the design. You have to be a business person, you have to understand the numbers, you have to be, it's more than just the passion to get ahead. All successful people who are good at something are also good at business. They're usually personable, they get along with people. It's all about, really, it's who you know, not what you know.
True, true.
And it
Well,
helps.
what you know helps.
Not what you
What
know
you know,
helps
what
a
you
lot.
know is, what you know is
Right.
is a big driver, but the biggest driver is who you know.
Yeah.
That will help you.
And,
Quite a bit.
and that's a lot of it, is the marketing, getting together with people, and that's the beauty of our industry. You know, I go out of my way, if there's a new designer, I'll help them all I can,
Yeah.
and I don't expect anything back. And I don't
Well,
think any of us do,
whatever
because
happened-
everybody's helped us.
To that point, what you just said, whatever happened with that designer that came to us at BGG, when you guys were playing it, Breaking the Chains, not Breaking the Chains, South China Sea.
Mhm. Oh, that
We
was.
we were just talking about that today.
Vietnam!
We played that after that there was a designer that patiently waited for about 3 hours.
Oh, him,
Yes, yes,
Whatever happened with that guy?
Great, it was a
He had
really
everything
good
in line,
design.
yeah, yeah.
You know, it was a really good design.
Sure.
And it's a phenomenal design, but I don't think it had that spark, it wasn't the greatness that's needed. As again, 5 years ago,
Sure.
it would've been phenomenal,
Mhm.
and I really hope he makes it, because it's a good
It was-
design.
It was
It
fun
seemed,
game.
it
I
seemed
mean,
it was
to
a
be,
fun game.
it seemed to be right on the cusp. I remember you said, "Do you have a spreadsheet?" He goes, "Yes, I do." Boom.
Yep,
And
He was
you were
good.
like, "Oh, you got all the answers." You know, you were
It was-
impressed with his presentation, and his presentation
He was good.
fantastic.
it was,
Yeah.
everything was phenomenal about the game, and I hope he finds a publishing company, but the problem is, it's really a great game.
It was missing something. I remember
Where's the
seeing
exceptionalism
Yeah.
of that
No,
game?
you're right.
Yeah.
When we played it together after that, yeah, it was, and by the way, I beat him.
Yes, it is.
Okay, but no.
It's not
it-
saying much, but yeah.
No, it was an it was a good game, it was nothing special.
I
And you know
think-
what? If he's listening, watching, and paying attention, don't stop, dude.
Mhm.
Give it the next round and bring it back.
And
Yeah.
I think one of the things is, in a lot of the talks I give in this stupid V-Gates UVA series that CC made up for us, but it's that dopamine cycle, you know, that quick decision, anticipation, resolution, that quick, what's popping off your dopamine, what's that serotonin boosts you're getting. That's a key part, and I think what he had the really fun parts, but then it was layered with wasted time to get to that key part again. And I think that's what we're now finding, the design is, we have to design games that are like a slot machine. You know, because the serotonin, it pops off when you pull the lever, not when it goes ding, 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 you get money or don't. That's when it drops again.
Sure.
So, you wanna find, for a designer, that's a whole different conversation, I think, and you know, I've given a lot of talks even online on how to design games, and from an engineering standpoint that we do, we've made it now an entire engineering, I mean, to us, we want everything put down, the decision trees and everything, we do it on computers, I do it on a cheap whiteboard that always falls down online, but, we have when we get a new game, we have the designer, number one, give me a 10-second elevator pitch, what is the key part of your game? And don't say it's a great game, or don't say it looks great, or don't say it's fun. No, what is that fun part that's gonna have people come back and back to your game? And
Go ahead.
that's
Finish.
where
I
new
wanna-
designers don't get it, where guys like us, it's like, it's in our gut already, because we did it through the hard way, you know?
Mhm.
We had to go out like good army commanders.
Yep.
They have a lot of field experience, and the ones that survive,
Mhm.
you learn.
Well, I want to spin off something you just said. You're talking about, you know, designers building off of things. Well, let's go to content creators. How can content creators not say the same thing over and over again and, you know, be unique and still
Meaning-
push your stuff?
By content creators,
All the reviewers.
I'm not following the question either.
I think personality.
No, as far as like, content creators out there, you know, everybody uses the same words. Oh, it's fantastic, or,
I mean,
you know,
like board
throw in-
game,
Yeah.
counter,
throw in whatever
You see,
adjective
but
you want to have.
That is the talent of the reviewer.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is, you guys are content creators. Throw in your adjectives right here for a review.
Fun.
It's exciting, it's challenging.
Sexy,
it's,
flashy.
you know,
It's
tough
unique.
decisions, you know, yeah, exactly. You know, all those things like that. What does that mean to you as a publisher, seeing those things? Is it really helping, or?
Right now I gave to Ashley, to CC, and to James, there are more marketing people.
Mhm.
Their thing is to go out by the end of the year to have 50 reviewers that we wanna work with in the coming coming year. And what I look for, I don't care how many people you have. If you have like 300 people, but you're personable and you have that personality,
We're in, guys.
that's what it is. It's a personality. And because there's some reviewers out there who are sitting in front of their screen in their undershirt.
This is a good game, you should buy it.
No,
Like that?
no, because you're actually saying words.
Yeah,
Some are
sure.
saying there, yeah, I opened this game
Unboxing is a great example of
and,
that. Because-
you know, yeah.
Shut
How
up, I
do
do
you, how do
unboxing.
you, no, but how do you make an unboxing fun or sexy or want someone to buy it? You see, I watched your unboxing, I remember contacting you. Do you know what you guys wrote back to me? Why do you want us to review your games? I believe
You
it was
definitely sent that
Yeah.
email.
Did I?
Yeah,
I
you
would,
did.
I would never ask
And
that.
I remember
I
that
wanted to
question.
know.
And I said, I watched the
Unboxing the
videos
underwear.
and I enjoy it. And I've seen, on my own games, I've seen a dozen unboxings of the same game. But some of these unboxings, I don't finish. It's my own game.
Yeah.
It's boring.
Yeah.
So there's a talent in presentation that you guys
Yep.
bring, and I don't even know if I always know what it is, I just
The
know I enjoy
cadence of the
watching it.
voice and,
Yeah.
and the excitement and the tonal inflections
Mhm.
and that's what's fun. It's like, I sing barbershop music, you know, I'm a barbershop
Yes.
singer, and it's all about presentation.
True.
And now that
And
you
that's,
told me
and your
that-
accent.
They
sells
tune in every
everything.
week to be like, where's he from?
Yeah.
Are you from New Zealand?
I get that all the time.
Well, I think from
He's
my
from the
perspective,
Bronx.
there's a lot of times, we are not glitz and glam, the two of us. That's not who we are in our life.
Glitz and glam.
Yeah, and
Glitz
Well, I
and
like
glam. You got
that.
it right there.
I do not like to put on a show. I don't. I like to tell people what you can expect.
Sure.
You know, when I do an unboxing, we've unboxed it, we've looked at it, we've read online, we've done interviews. We know that game, and I can tell you what I think it is. Because we've built that reputation over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
People, they actually, I don't know why, but they care what we think.
Because, A, the information you gave was presented factually,
Yeah.
or they agreed with it. I mean, how many of you guys watch movie reviewers, right? And every time I listen to him, he's an idiot, I don't agree with him.
Don't pick on Nate
No,
like
no,
that,
no, no.
jeez.
I mean, in general. And then there's other reviewers you can listen to, and
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times you agree with what he says, because it resonates
Yeah.
with you. So you guys are resonating with people, as is Nate, and Mo, and Kevin
Okay.
Sharp, and Marco, and these guys. You guys
Kev
are
Sharp,
open.
this whiskey's for you.
You gotta explain what it is. For Kev, you gotta tell him what it is,
And,
come on.
that's right. Crown Black, you know you like
And
it.
and
Oh,
it's-
wait a minute, and to the Scotch dummies.
Yes, Scotch test dummies.
I mean, the Scotch test dummies.
Bart,
Bart,
this one's
yeah,
for you.
This one's, I know you're scoffing at this, but,
I know,
that's all he's
it's
supplying.
blended Canadian, but hey, it's still good, it's 90 proof,
Oh,
so.
is this Canadian? Oh, wow.
Blended
How about you don't
Canadian,
like Kenny, I heard you today.
No, I just don't like Canadian geese.
but it's Canadian whiskey, so it's good.
You know, the Canadians, I think they send them over just to crap all over our yard. I mean, it's,
No, they send him to play hockey, but,
the geese?
no, not the geese, the people.
Oh, well. No, I like
Yeah,
Did you have Canadian hockey players crapping in his yard?
He's got issues.
I insult hockey players all the time, you know.
Don't insult hockey.
If it's not soccer, no. But,
He's
I'm
a
glad
ref.
I'm not alone.
it's soccer on ice, you know.
No,
Thought you
there's
guys
no
called it
diving.
football.
Pardon me?
Thought you guys called it football.
Oh, let's get into details, yeah. Listen, America and Germany both got out way too early, and my favorite country, France, won. So, you know,
But continuing on with the content creator stuff. I watched Players Aid plenty of times, watched Nate plenty of times. No one watches me, except for you guys watching. But seriously, it's an interesting thing to understand that the effort put in behind the scenes on all the stuff we do. And it's because of these guys here that we put in the effort, because it is a lot of effort to put in to get a written review, a video review, but it's because the passion that these guys show in the product they put out, and that we play, and that we want to share it with other people. So it's kind of a nice symbiotic relationship, and I don't know, I enjoy it. Your
I
thoughts?
love it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I like is the relationships. Like I played a game, it was great. I know how much hard work you guys put into making those games, and I know that other people are going to enjoy it. And word of mouth to me is it's the most powerful marketing tool. It might not be the easiest to do, but you know, if I read see like a leaflet which had all the old games in it, you're just kind of like, oh, this one's a World War II one, sure, that might be good. It has an interesting title, is basically what you used to get. And so you'd like send off your check in the mail and you'd get a game. That's at least what my father-in-law says.
99-cent little soldiers from the back of the comic book.
But like now,
I used to have those.
I bought those too.
but like
They're all
listen,
flats. That was very disappointing. They were
Flat,
flat.
boring.
but hearing someone else's opinion, talking up a game, that's very much more influential on me. Maybe that's just who I am. And that's kind of how the reason why we wanted to start doing content creation was just to like interact with people in the community and share what we were doing. Because the games we were playing was so much fun, and it started. Our journey started with just tweeting some pictures out. Just tweeted a picture out. And I remember it was like Liberty or Death was like one of the first ones. Just tweeted a picture of that, and so many people were just like, "Oh man, that game's so good." It was like, oh, "That's awesome." Like, and then it was just started meeting people online, and then it was like, let's make this official,
explodes,
right?
Yeah.
But it's the talking to each other amongst games, which the reviews that we do, to me, it's almost like a recommendation. Like you could call it an official review or anything. I'm not sitting here saying, you know, check-ins and boxes, 10 out of 10 for this, 5 out of 10 for this, 7 out of 10 for this. To me, we sit there and it's like this game makes you feel this way. This is what they're trying to do. This is awesome.
Or shaking his head like, don't score my game,
No.
please.
Oh no. I
Or
remember,
any games.
no. I think that society in general just likes to rate everything 1 to 10.
Yeah,
And I remember there were these two women wanted to have people rate people, and that one actually was going too far. At least at that point in time, they got really beat up in Hollywood or whatever. They was just going to use it to mock people or whatever. But anyway, I think that it's the content. You know, tell me it's a 10 or a 5. Doesn't. You know, I looked at if you go online, BGG, I'll see somebody and I'll give a game a 5, and they write like 2 paragraphs. I'm going like, what did they like about it again?
Yeah.
Why is that a 5,
Yeah.
given all the nice things they said about it? And some guy gives it a 10, and he says, hope to play it.
yeah.
or SJJ or whatever his number was,
Oh,
give
that guy.
everybody a 1, jackass.
Yeah.
Oh, the smidge.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
SMJJ,
We
that's
actually,
it.
we take it as I take it as a. In fact, I was upset.
Badge of honor.
Smidge, I think, has hit all my games at least once. And I remember, but he hit it with a 1. It was 6 months from publication.
No.
So, and I was going like, and I remember going to some of my friends. Goes, who was this guy? Was he one of the playtesters? Did I miss
Yeah.
something here? And he's like in Denmark.
He
or
just went.
Sweden.
He
Yeah,
just went
he's-
down.
yeah.
Everybody gave
He gave
everybody
everyone
ones.
So my point is
Waste
that
of time.
this is just look. You know, there's only one kind. I think you'll agree. Both of you agree. The only kind of voting that matters is sales.
That's
Sure.
right.
That's the voting,
Voting
that
with the
matters.
wallet,
All the
yeah.
rest, you know, they can give it a 9.9. If they don't sell,
Sure.
it's a failure. From
No,
a
true.
maybe a critical success, but it's a failure.
I don't know, I like high ratings. I mean, I
I-
have
who
some
does,
games that are
but-
low rated,
Huh.
and I feel like kinda down about it, you know?
But if you
I'm
sell
sorry.
He's got poor
100,000
self-esteem,
But if you
so
sell 100,000
vote
on
his
one
games
rated
up.
game, you're fine.
Yeah.
When you're counting the
I have
dollar
to go on
bills,
vacation
you'll
with
start
it,
smiling.
then, you know,
Exactly.
I feel better, but.
Like Nate said,
What's
when
that?
you're counting the dollar bills, it isn't gonna matter.
Wiping
Makes
your tears
money.
with those $100 bills, man.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Mark,
I can't stand it.
I get a kick out of it when someone leaves a comment or message me saying, "Hey, I like this, and your review convinced me to buy the game." When they tell me they went and bought it because of my review,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
when I
no,
know
no,
I've done a
I-
good job.
That is
Yeah.
the most
That's
satisfying thing ever. As you know, I know you guys.
Especially after you trash the game too.
This is
Yeah.
this is our design moment. Is when you guys put out a game and it's out there, and you get your first sale. And you're like, yes, I'm legitimate. When you have somebody message you privately and say, hey Mo, or hey Nate, or hey Alexander Grant, I mean, your review made me buy this gun. I don't know, but it makes me feel, yeah, cool, I'm glad. You know, and they go play, and then you see them tweeting about it a couple weeks later. They're playing this game and they're playing with their wife or their kid or whatever, and they're happy. It's like, that's cool. That's
You know,
that's a good damn feeling.
I wanna take it back, what I said before, you know, that we designed to make the company and all. I take, that was asinine thing, hypocritical. I take it all back. I'm rewriting the rules on what I said, because you're right. You try to make a game that people will like.
Sure.
And I think what I was trying to say is, don't get so involved with your game that you won't listen to others in their,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because people
Their
just,
input.
it's their life, their baby, and they won't change it. So I wanna restate how I said that. I said that incorrectly. And what I said about you before the show, I take all back also.
I tell you though, and this is how I've always, it goes back to when I did We the People, and Eric, first of all, Eric Dott was the president, chairman of the board of Monarch Avalon. He owned Avalon Hill and the Victor Games, so I worked for him. Really great guy, sad to see, he passed away recently. And I was working in the defense business, and he calls me up, and he said that he wanted an introductory game on the American Revolution. That was the thing. So all right. So, and I was working full time, so I did 1776, and it was a really nice 1776. But I looked at it and I said, okay, 1776. They already did 1776.
Yeah.
And so I was reading and I got some other ideas, but the point is I have to, look, I love everybody, if you wanna play but you can be guaranteed that I wanna play the game.
Sure.
And if I don't wanna play the game, I'm not putting it out there for you not to wanna play the game.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
now, if my taste is definitely not everybody's taste, that I get, but you can at least know that I actually play them.
You played them, man.
I actually played them.
I can attest to that because I played you with Pericles and then Versailles 1919 today. And great teacher. You can easily beat him. No, I'm only kidding.
What
But-
place did you come in?
No.
Oh, man, there you go, buddy.
Fourth place. Wait, hold on. Fourth place today. Who won in San Diego? At your game, Pericles?
Oh, yeah, you won. There you go.
That's right.
Yeah,
So-
but you played it solo, didn't you?
No. He taught us and we played. No. But it's a lot of fun.
Winning,
and
for me, winning and losing is immaterial. I have a good
Yeah.
time playing.
It's
Yeah.
the playing is
But-
all that matters.
But I guess the point is that, going back to your point about you guys, I think what makes you, first off, you have to have a presence.
Sure.
I can't tell you, like, look at the famous actresses and actors, right?
Mhm.
They got something. You can say what you want, the camera loves them, whatever it is. So
Sure.
you've gotta have some interaction with the medium because there's nobody in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just, who knows how you get that.
Yeah.
But then there's the authenticity and the excitement that's genuine. And that gets communicated through the medium, either through the podcast or through the video.
Sure.
I think that's where the deal is, right?
Yeah.
You can tell, I'm an enthusiast, I'm a gamer first and a
Oh, yeah.
designer second. I like to play games, I have a great time playing games, and I have a group of guys I play games with, and I play games with, I come to do things to play games. I think I've played more games here than I have in a long time, just because I gave all the tournaments away. I
Sure.
had one tournament, I gave the rest away to people, and tournaments went great. In fact, they're much better at it than I am, so thank you very much. It's not my skill set, but I do like going to them and talking to people, and
Sure.
and of course, when you play a game with me, WBC, it's a long game because, hey, I don't mean to bother you, but when I invade here and what is that rule and I couldn't find it, I'm like, hey, no problem, I help people
And
out.
that's
but-
why Twilight Struggle takes 9 hours.
9 hours to play Twilight Struggle, but my point is, if you want to do good content, regardless of where it is, be authentic and be enthusiastic and be passionate.
Yeah.
If you can communicate that, and again, that's the skill set of the personality, you'll do fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're not going to be get an A-list in a Hollywood movie.
No, that's true. What do you guys?
You know what I'm saying is this, he's being much too quiet, too,
You were whispering in his ear.
yeah,
You're
no,
saying he's
I'm
going-
trying to.
What is he
no,
missing
no,
over
no.
here?
Some sweet
Yeah,
nothing.
You pushed him away.
He does, the design that he does with lock and load games And the games he's putting out, that's him, that's David. And he says, oh, I'm not a designer. This is the designer, so I'm saying he shouldn't be so coy about it, or what's the English word?
Coy
I
about it.
said,
Coy.
Pretty much it, but
you know, okay, that's the word, right?
Yeah.
So, and I was saying, you know, he has to, because he's a hell of a designer. He's put out more games than I have 5 times over, and he's so zurückhaltend. Und I says, you have to push out
You know
more.
he's had a little bit of whiskey when he
He's
starts.
very reserved.
German.
He's being very reserved.
What?
Yeah, you start slipping into the German.
When? Just now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
See, you
sorry.
don't even realize it.
Reserved,
Reserved.
you're right, he's reserved,
Reserved,
zurückhaltend, yeah.
well, you know what?
Say,
Because I never take the fact that it's me. I never think I'm the smartest man in the room, and a lot of people tell me I'm not.
Yeah, but,
You know.
but that's what wives are for,
I
man.
know. I have a very good wife, a very supportive wife. I have another wife over there that's sitting there, helps me out, tells me what I'm doing wrong. But honestly, I enjoy reading the most the team experience. I mean, Heath's sitting there, he's working the World at War 85 series, and that's what I enjoy the most. I enjoy the team building and coming to the end and saying, look what we did together. I don't think I would do this if I had to do it by myself, even if I was capable of doing it.
And the synergy, and that's where I think we have the advantage. We have you have a great office, also, we have like a Willy Wonka company. I mean, we have like 2,000 square feet upstairs of
You have golden
high,
tickets?
fast, we have fast 45 miles per hour racetracks, you know.
Sure.
Then we have a whole conference room for ping pong, and I mean, we have we're probably the worst game company ever because, you know, we like to play a lot of games. But what really helps us is we're playing every afternoon, we're playing somebody's games. And the synergy you get with really creative people, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and
I haven't-
that's like the
I haven't
best.
designed a good game. I come out with a game and then other people give me good ideas and the synergy. That's what makes a good game.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. So guys like Mark with Victory Games and all that, putting out, I mean, I've got a whole shelf of your games still, and you're right, you have this way of being able to make games that last time. And that's a very special skill that very few people have. So, like, we rely on other people.
What we do.
And that's what makes it, and most of our designers, we work 2 or 3 years with, we do at least, and you go long times also, to just get that synergy and that flow. And I always say, you know, I alone can jump a foot on a concrete stone floor, and so can David, but together, we can be like on a trampoline, less energy and we get higher. So, designers also out there, I really highly recommend, go to the proto-spiels and all that. There's some really good proto-spiels out there where they're like 30, 40 designers getting together. We hit those up. We got our Freedom Underground Railroad there, our 1775 and our 1812 games, all those Birth of America series games. We got them all at proto-spiels. We just signed up 2 more games last week from a proto-spiel we went to. But even if they're not publishers there, like Alex Yeager from Mayfair, previous Mayfair, did you hear they got sold? They're now Asmodee.
Isn't-
Wow, that's a shock.
Isn't everyone?
Everybody,
Everybody's
Asmodee is the
Asmodee.
Borg of computer game, or
And
board
you know,
gaming.
it would be interesting, now that I didn't mean to go that way, but it's interesting, it's something to talk about.
Yeah.
Would be, how is Asmodee changing the market, the board game market and the distribution market? And is it good or bad?
Comment.
You know, I don't mean to change them, but designers go to ProSpiel, but how is Asmodee?
Comment.
I just see.
We'll start here and go all the way around.
They're, what you guys were talking about before, the man behind the man.
Yeah.
Now,
The Borg.
yeah, pretty much everybody reports to him.
Asmodee, opinions?
Nothing, I have so little knowledge, there's no opinion worth having.
I don't know the inner workings of that side of the industry, but to me, anytime someone's monopolizing everything, to me, when there's antitrust, I don't know if that's antitrust stuff going on, but like,
Too many companies.
when one person owns too much of everything,
It's antitrust without the antitrust. I mean, it's not that blatantly
Yeah.
obvious, but it is monopolizing it.
and it's like, okay, fine, they wanna make a ton of money, that's great.
Yeah.
The games are
That's
still
fine.
there, they're still widely available. I don't know if they're not like putting small game companies away or anything.
No.
They're putting games out, which is good.
Yeah.
But like,
You would see-
I just come from,
Well,
I don't know, I grew up being like, just, there needs to be competition, like healthy competition.
But Steve, going back to something you said, you know,
Not you,
I-
Uva.
Uva.
I'm making
You.
fun of you, Uva.
Uva
You
said.
grow up with.
Anyway, so I used to run I run, actually, when I was in consulting, and I had 6,000 people working for me, so I actually know how to run a big business, about $1 billion a year business. And when I was doing that, you know, you learn a lot of different things, so I think what I see in Asmodee, if you, forgetting about, I think of business models, that's how I teach it, right?
Sure.
To be really big, you buy evergreen lines, lines.
Oh, yeah.
So you go, okay, that's already successful, has a big following, I just
Buy it.
buy it.
Yeah.
So I don't have to, so you're ensured success, and you're gonna pay a premium,
Sure.
but if you do it right and you do the marketing,
Covers everything else.
you cover it, you make your money back, you're fine. Now, where you get in trouble is if you're not a genius every day.
Mhm.
But some of the, like, I remember Hasbro bought Avalon Hill. I doubt that Hasbro, and they bought it for like, you know, single digit millions.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of money, but it's nothing.
Mhm.
And I doubt,
They realized the gold mine they had there,
I
if they had mined it.
we.
I don't think they did.
They did, well,
Yeah.
you know what, it required, it wasn't there were no evergreen title. You had to actually
True.
you had to run
Yeah.
a publishing company.
Sure.
They didn't want a publishing company, they wanted titles they could license out,
Yeah.
they just didn't do a good job, but I think Asmodee's got it right, you know, you buy the, you know, the license for Carcassonne or whatever the heck it is, and you, once you've got that, you know, you're printing money for a while.
True.
And you just gotta make sure that, you know, the presses run and things get distributed and,
But now they're buying the distributors, they bought Estevium UK,
Yeah.
and now we're looking at, who do you go with? We were trying to set up meetings with them at Gen Con, and now they're called, I think, Asmodee UK.
Yeah.
And I don't think they distribute other people, so if anybody knows anybody at Asmodee UK distributing, please, drop my name, we wanna work with them, that they distribute our games,
that
and
makes
if
sense.
they don't, screw them. And if you know any other good
Heard it here
distributors in
first.
England, please let us know, you know?
Well, think about it.
But,
But the
You
middle-
know someone?
Sure.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. And does Asmodee UK distribute other people's games now, or is, oh, they do still? I take it all
Screw it up.
back.
I was gonna say, you
Um,
take back that screw up.
No,
right?
no, no,
Yeah.
no, when I said screw them, I meant screw them up higher. You know?
That's
It's,
not too bad for being pretty drunk right there, buddy.
oh no, listen, we had, it was Pepsi. Diet Pep, oh, was that what? But, no, from Asmodee, I think actually they're doing, no, I'm done. They're doing very well, I think, for the market, because what they're doing is, they're putting in mapping agreements. They're
Yeah.
trying to keep the price integrity up there, because I really believe that the brick and mortar stores have to survive. Because they do give that environment where a lot of kids can go play,
True.
they can go game. I realize a lot of it's Magic the Gathering.
It's all Magic Gathering.
Well, they're getting
Yeah, I
more
mean,
and
it's
more
like 90%
into,
or more, yeah.
you know, but there's like Conan, you know, I went to a game store, they were playing Conan, which is a great game, or,
True.
you know, all these, I saw Eclipse game going on, some of my favorite games are playing. And they're teaching, they're more and more really refined, professionally run stores opening now.
Sure.
I mean, with real businessmen who understand that they have to market, bring in people, run tournaments. They really have professional good stores. It's not like some of these old guys where it's just a room with shelves and games
The way it
stacked
used to
up
be.
and,
Yeah, the
yeah.
way it
But
used to
don't
be.
you remember the comic book industry, I don't know, maybe it was 20 years ago, and then all of a sudden Marvel, Heroes World Distributorship bought out everything, and then they stopped selling to Diamond at the time any comics of Marvel. And everyone went, oh my God. And then Diamond got bought up by DC or vice versa, and then they stopped selling all the Marvel comics to everybody. Okay? And then all the comic book stores collapsed. I lived on Staten Island. This is a 17-mile island. There was something like 14 comic book stores. You know, and when the dust settled from all this,
You
most
came
of
to
these guys
Jersey
were
to
not.
get your good stuff.
Yeah, you know, it was like 2 comic book stores left, and they were the best comic book stores, and that's the
In
truth.
Jersey.
you know. But, you know, I think the game stores and all that stuff,
Yeah.
it's a phase. They're phases that keep repeating themselves
Well-
over and over.
Business is cyclical. It really is. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, things go up and go down. It's just like the stock market. What goes up must come down. It's physics. But right now, how do you harness that upswing in board games?
Well, first of all, it's gotta be there's gotta be for you to go to a store, as opposed to just, oh, I want that game, hitting Amazon or some other, cool stuff or whatever, hitting it, and then boom, it's on your way to you. Or I go to, your store and you buy it there. There's gotta be a value proposition. And that value proposition seems to be the in-store activities, that it's like, almost like, it's like a community center.
Yeah.
When kids go there, people go there. And you're right, I mean, there's certain, but Magic's an evergreen title.
Oh, yeah.
I once played
Wish I designed that thing.
Well, I actually I knew Richard Garfield back in the day. I actually played Magic. He once said, "Do you want to play Magic?" I said, "Sure." So I played Magic with him one time.
Really? What'd you think?
Well, he's a nice guy, by the way.
Yeah.
But he said, "Do you mind on playing an experimental deck?" And then he sprung a 20/20 green creature out of like the third card, and the game was over. And I said, "Well,
Yeah,
nice
that's why I
card.
like this game.
Nice card."
Yeah.
He used to play We the People. That's why we were playing.
Okay.
So anyway, but the point is that that's an evergreen title, and the stores, people want to interact.
Sure.
And that's why I think a lot of this online stuff is starting, it'll never go away, this will always be the bigger part of the market for now, but there is this growing desire for human contact, which is what we do. We sell human contact and interaction and, family game nights and all that good stuff. But I think the character of the games and the value proposition has to be, Pacific War, although many people tell me like, oh, it's my favorite game of all time, I doubt they're playing it very much anymore.
My wife and I said that before, right? First you were married, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was one of your games, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So I just said because it was one of our favorite games.
Do you like it more now?
You were the reason I got
You
married.
like it more now?
No, we haven't played it in 20 years, but she won't play those. She's now a Through the Ages and Twilight Struggle fanatic. But what I was trying to say with Asmodee, with the stores, because I think the stores do need a support structure for pricing.
Sure.
Because they're buying it at maybe 45% off MSRP, because they're not as big, and they need to make at least 30%
They
margin.
have to make their margin, yeah.
So, and that's where I really like what Asmodee's doing, that they are putting a 20% map. Now, I'm very impressed, like Cool Stuff Inc. I used to be at war with these guys, because it was head-to-head. They were discounting our games even while we were doing Kickstarters.
Yeah.
But then I called Jerry up, the owner of Cool Stuff Inc., and we spoke, and I said, hey, what if we do some deals where you have some products which others don't, you bundle,
Sure.
where you keep the price up so that the stores can also do it, and we won't sell it like to Amazon or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And keep it very exclusive. And they'll work, same with Miniature Mart. These guys are professionals.
Yeah.
They're super discounted because that's what they have to do to survive, but they will work with you,
Yeah.
and they will do their best. So, the thing is, again, it's all communication and making relationships. So I think Asmodee is actually helping the market. And actually, and I might be wrong, and Asmodee, if anybody's watching this, it's just me trying to figure out the market, but I've seen like they're buying companies like the Plaid Hat Games and the Fantasy Flights and games like that, and all of a sudden I've seen the amount of games being released by these companies shrinking little, because I think a big company like that, Asmodee, can only release so many titles per month, whereas the individual companies,
Yeah,
it's
how much
10 that they
overlord
bought.
control is in place, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
where
I
each
wanna
one was putting
I
out
want to tell you
more.
a story. So you know why Victory Games was created?
No.
So Eric Dodd, I go to see him, SPI, there was a hostile takeover by TSR. And some guy told me, that one of the Bloom brothers said, by the way, congratulations, you work for TSR. And I didn't remember saying yes to anything. So I said, thank you very, I never fight with anybody. I said, thank you very much, shook his hand, and then I went out and started another company.
But for a moment there, you were part of D&D.
I actually had 2 days' salary from TSR.
There you go.
I quit as soon as I found out I was employed, but anyway. So I go to see Eric Dodd, and we're talking about, some deals, and I said, we can bring the guys in Avalon. He goes, no, I'm gonna start a new label. I said, why is that? He goes, Avalon Hill can only get so much shelf space. If I get a new label, I can double my shelf space. That is the guy's entire strategy to create, that's a guy who understands what's going on at the molecular level of the market. And I learned so much from that guy. And so, like for instance, when I was running Victory Games, I used to go down to the stores. Remember, there was no internet, there was no email. So I actually every time I traveled off a lot. So I would go into every store in every city I ever went and talk to the store owners. And so I go to one guy and I go, so how did Korean War? So like, sold off the shelves. I said, really? How many did you buy? He goes, I had 3. Then I go to another guy. I said, how did Korean War go? And he goes, a little slow. I said, how many do you have left? He goes, I have 2 left. How many did you buy? 48. So I then went to Eric, and I said, here's what I want to do. I want to cut back everybody's initial order by 25%. He goes, are you crazy?
Yeah.
I said, and I showed him all the numbers.
Adjust it,
I showed him all the math to it. So he went along, I'll let you do it once, and we'll stop. We raised our sales by 50%, because the perception was, now instead of getting 48, the guy got 36.
Sure.
He sold 36, remember he sold before, he sold 46.
Exactly.
He sold
Harder to get
36,
now.
boom.
Yeah.
He then ordered another 36. So now I sold him 72, instead of selling him 46, he's unhappy. He was happy when he sold more.
Sure.
So sometimes you gotta really think about, now, I'm not saying that's how the market works now, but I will tell you, without even knowing anything about Asmodee, having done supply chain strategies for big companies like Lego and stuff, I believe what they're doing is, there comes a point where the margins get tough.
Well, they have to, yeah.
Yeah, and so the only way to squeeze margin is you have to vertically integrate your supply chain.
True.
So that, why is Trader Joe's cheap food? Because they own it from farm
Yeah.
to, it's their brand.
Yeah.
Vertical integration is always gonna get you now, of course, you have limitations. And I think the problem with vertical integration is you can only push so much out the door. That's where another label helps you.
True.
Because now you've got another crew doing the same thing. And so I can understand how but I bet you their margins are getting much better, because they control the thing from end to end. Now, will they work with you? I have no, their corporate culture, I have no idea what they're like.
Right.
But that's what they're doing. And I consulted for years, turning companies profitable by just fixing their supply chain.
Sure.
Well, I'm just trying to see, how are they influencing the game market right now?
Oh, yes, they are.
And I think,
Oh, yeah.
but then, is that giving openings to like CMON games, the Cool Minis or not, or other ones like that?
Well,
We're going heavy on the Kickstarters.
they're using Kickstarter primarily as a pre-order.
Correct.
That's all.
So are
they
we.
do.
Exactly what they're
So
using.
are we.
But that's all they do.
But remember,
That's all they
Gene
do.
Billingsley, like years ago, talked about, and Gene created from those conversations why SPI went down.
Yeah.
The P500 has been around
P500,
long before
yeah.
Kickstarter.
Mhm.
That's why GMT.
The difference though is P500, you're committing as in, goodwill commitment. Whereas Kickstarter, you're
Well,
committing 30
again,
days
you're
later,
just
you're
talking-
getting charged.
Well, actually, remember, we look at GMT and P500 now as an established,
Sure.
but the first few games, am I gonna get my game? I mean, I
Oh,
just
yeah,
give you
yeah.
a credit card.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing, they could charge a credit card anytime you give it, you're committing, remember, you're treating each game as an LLC.
Yeah.
Limited subscription, however you wanna call
Yeah.
it. And so you're using the value of the guaranteed sale, and we always know that if I can get this many pre-orders, I can get another X amount from the distributors, and so
Sure.
now you understand your business model. So now
Yeah.
when you go to the printer, say, give me X amount of games, your bill's paid.
Yeah.
Now, I get the games, I get delivered, which is always the key part.
Yep.
Everything left is just pure profit,
True.
and that's how you make your money that way. Where Kickstarter is done, that's like disaggregated, there's not one brain, GMT is standing behind the P500. Kickstarter, like you said, the upfront one,
Yeah.
some the guys will throw their money out there, get you excited. Too many people have been burned now, so that's why
Yeah.
the market wants to see the 110% prototype before they're gonna buy, because
Yeah.
they don't trust it.
Right.
I don't blame them.
And then,
They've been burned.
GMT's got the P500, and you go to Kickstarter, the Kickstarter customer wants to see 10 stretch goals. They wanna see a whole bunch of extra stuff
Well,
on
that's the
there.
genius of it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
genius.
It could be genius, but it could also burn.
Well, because, but they're gonna tell their friends about it, so that they
Sure.
get more stuff.
Sure.
And, I mean, like our Awakening Bear, we have like $240 MSRP value stuff, they're getting for $65.
True.
I mean,
Yeah.
and for us, in this case, because it's a video game mall, we're banking on the future. We're not making it's the first one we're not counting on making money.
Yeah.
Because we are looking at the whole Saints Row, Volition, now they've been bought out, of course. But we're looking for the future,
Yeah.
like a Gloomhaven. The first Gloomhaven that came out on Kickstarter did well, but then he
99
came out
bucks.
with the same one,
Yeah.
and he
Well,
did
they
2 point
reprinted
some
it.
million
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
reprint.
Yeah.
Now, who would have ever thought, let's reprint the same game on Kickstarter?
He
get
had some
2.5
minor additions to it, some solitaire.
Sure,
He
yeah, but
also
still,
could have made
genius.
a lot more money.
Pardon me?
He also could have made a lot more money, I think.
You could have made more?
I think so.
How?
It was the first, if I remember correctly, the first edition was $99.
Yeah.
And it was 109?
It was 120 to second
120,
edition.
something like that. It was like, could have gone to 150. You know, he could have made a lot more. When you look at the amount of stuff in that game
Yeah.
and what he's charging, wow.
Yeah, but his cost to print, well, I'm not gonna get into that. He's making money.
Yeah.
And you know, there's also economy. I mean, the people are supporting the games. A
Sure.
lot of them, they call us and say, can I order this later? Because I don't get paid for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
a lot
layering
of,
plan.
a lot of our gamers, they're gamers, and they're putting every cent they have into it,
Yeah.
which I think is a good investment, because if they weren't doing that, you know, a lot of people just blow their money on a boat or the bars or whatever, and they're gamers, you know, I mean, gaming, I think, teaches critical thinking in the long term. It helps everybody.
Sure.
It gets them better jobs, better communications with people.
It's
So
also a cheap hobby, actually.
it's a very cheap hobby.
You think about guys who, women who like cars, believe me.
Yeah.
I don't have to, I don't have a Porsche. I have a lot of games.
Yeah.
Think of the hours invested, well, think of the dollars invested versus the hours you get out of it. It's,
Yeah.
it's, you know.
But I'm gonna have to apologize.
Yeah, sure.
I have a hugely long ride.
I know, I was gonna say, you know, we've gone on for way longer than we expected. Oh, Rob, it's all 'cause of Uber. And these guys coming late, but sorry. No, but thanks guys for tuning in, and we're gonna
Well,
cut it
hold on.
short here. Dave has to
Because
say
these
something.
guys, yeah, these guys gotta come in, is there anything you guys wanna ask in general, cause you haven't said too much?
Alexander,
I don't believe so. I think
It's giving you a big chance, that's what you gotta say.
It's the cool accent.
we
I'm
have.
telling you, we're not glitz clams.
No, this has been our first WBC. It's been so
been a
great to
blast.
meet so many people
Mhm.
for the first time. Because we only started doing this about 3 years ago-ish. And before that, we were just
Playing
playing
games.
games as just
Fun.
a hobby. And this kind of exploded for us. And so, seeing, if you watch our stuff, or if you watch it from 2 years ago,
Don't.
where it was like recorded on my phone, and I'm like doing an unboxing, and you can't see me behind the camera. I'm like drenched in sweat, like.
Don't you cringe
this-
when you watch that old stuff?
Oh, I can't
yeah.
I can't watch it.
It
I can't
drives
watch
you nuts,
myself on
doesn't
TV. Like I record it, and then like when I'm editing it, I'm like,
Yeah, sorry.
and then like I upload it. I can't watch my stuff because I hate myself. But that's,
I hate my early stuff. Like,
Oh,
oh, it's so bad.
Well, but I also think what he's talking about is when you put yourself out there,
It's-
the
it's a big
criticism,
deal. It's a big
right?
deal.
And
Oh,
you
yeah.
know it.
Yeah,
You see it
I
all
got
the
it.
time. The guy that continually says you need better mics.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, we've got a really good mic.
Dude, you
Move
suck.
on.
That's
Yeah.
not a
You know?
monster game.
Yeah. Or you said
Get a
this
better hearing
about
aid, man.
I made a mistake. I apologize. Yeah.
I've told so many people, I'm human. I'm
Right.
going to make
You're
mistakes.
gonna make mistakes.
It's just gonna
You're not
happen.
human anymore, you're on the air, buddy.
Yes. But like, doing a written review, like someone read it and they didn't like it, they say this sucked, this great. But like when it's a video, it's like they've like watched me,
Yeah,
my
right.
voice, and
Yeah.
who I am.
It's
and when
the
they're
voice.
like, they're like,
It's the
oh,
accent.
that was dumb. And you're like, feels much more like a personal thing.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, I had to get over it. It's not a big deal. And now I totally don't care anymore. But I think coming here and meeting everyone in the industry has been so much fun.
Mhm.
Because, like you said, this is an industry where people stick together.
Yeah.
Like we all have each other's backs.
Yeah.
Everyone's just trying to make a good game and have a great time.
And I think it's a new generation more, because we're new to it. I hear horror stories of the guys who from 30 years ago,
Yeah.
they're like feuds going left and right, and
Still carrying on.
still carrying on. And everybody I've met who's new in the industry, I don't know anybody who's really got any feuds, but maybe we're still too young at it, and you know, I don't know, but
We're still too young at it.
in the industry, that we're very
Is
new.
that the royal we?
Well, what do you mean? How long you've been in there? You've been in,
I was calling you old. It's a.
well,
No,
I
just
am-
Wow.
call me old, it's easier. It's much easier. I don't
you
care.
know, I actually was interviewed by a German blogger, and he says Uwe, and the Germans are blunt son of a bitches.
I
And-
like that about it.
No, they're so blunt. I can't stand
I'm
as
from Jersey. I
as
like
from
that.
a German to German, fucking Germans, you know. But
That's why I like Germany.
but you know when he goes Uwe, it was in German, of course, and he says, "I can tell you're an old guy because you have an old German name that isn't used anymore. You know, those names are no longer popular in Germany.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, and it's like, I'm like, oh, I'm not called Mario or Lucas anymore. You know,
Jeez.
it's like, no, you know, it's." But, so thank you very much for that comment. You know, I was gonna say, we had a conversation today, and one thing I liked about you is,
One thing you said, only one thing you liked about
no, well, and it's an important thing is that when I speak with you or even
Sure,
with
all of us,
you, Mo, and
yeah.
everything, is you give a sense that you care.
Mhm.
And that's a big, that's what makes a good reviewer. You care and you bring us out to say stuff and speak, and that's great. I could never be a good reviewer.
You could. It's an opinion.
Impersonable.
It's all it is. It's an opinion. I like this game or dislike this game at this time for this reason. You have to articulate the reason why you like or dislike the game, but never slam a designer or a design. Never destroy it.
Yes.
If you don't like it, tell why you don't like it.
Yeah.
Say it could have used more development. It could have done this. Offer a suggestion. Be critical in a positive way.
Like I said, I love Asmodee and how I said before.
No, it doesn't.
The last thing you got to say very little, you have any questions for everybody here?
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's go around the table.
I'm just honored to be here because I'm the newest guy to the wargaming community. I've only been doing
You know
this
why
for a
you're
couple
here.
of years.
If this goes bad, you can get.
It's
fired.
on you.
Just remember,
No, I'm just.
And
I'm
you
tickled.
got your beautiful wife back there who wore my hat, so
yeah, that's actually the other reason
she
you're here.
wears it better than I do.
And
so.
she's wearing a lock and load jersey also. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Marketing, I keep
I
telling you.
tell you.
There's a reason I put her in front of the camera. She's prettier than I am. Yes, Gimpy's gal is here for those of you guys, on my camera.
In the back, she's here.
Oh, she on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she's in a lot of my
No,
videos.
that's Keith.
No, not yet.
Oh,
there's this up.
Oh, Keith, can you move your audio a little so I can see it?
I've been trying to leave.
Wow, there are 5 more people.
There are people off camera, as we said. So, okay, we are rapidly coming to the close of this chat, but Mark, your turn. He's like, I don't know, what was I supposed to say?
I'm not worried about that. I guess the question is, what would you like to know?
Finish up, any finishing thoughts from your perspective?
I guess, I'll tell you when I keep getting asked by people, they'll say, isn't wargaming gonna be dead? I said, look, I mean, I will be dead, but wargaming is not gonna die. It's been around for about 5,000 years.
Yeah.
So why now, not before, right? So there's been wargaming forever. So it'll be interesting to see how it evolves, what it turns into, but I have no concerns for the hobby, and it's gonna evolve, and I think what's been interesting to me is, that it has to fit the audience who's gonna use it.
Sure.
And I've seen that audience, over my time dramatically change. I know Uwe is not impressed with the old SPI rules booklets. No, it does.
Say that.
Yeah, she
Yeah, you
did.
did.
Actually did.
I
I
said,
did.
you said they're putting 3 out a month, and that was phenomenal versus the one
We
here.
had a lot of people, but my only point is that, but the audience that was
I
reading them,
apologize.
the audience that was
It's
reading
all
them.
right, man, it's all right.
It was
We
good
got
for
you.
them. It would not pass now. The audience of then is not the audience of now.
Yeah.
And so it's always going to be, and so people say they're the cult of the new.
Yeah.
I think it's the cult of the here and now.
Yeah.
And I think that people want, and I think you said it, they want new. It is the style. They don't want to play. They don't want to get deep into a game so that they're not going to say, like, I remember Don Greenwood saying, like, Breakout Normally, he played it 100 times before he thought he even had a clue. No, I don't know anybody who plays 100 games,
No.
100 times of a game.
Not anymore.
They haven't got the time, they don't care. They may play over, it'll get to the table maybe once or twice a year
Sure.
in a rotation, but ultimately they want to see the new stuff.
Yeah.
That's not me, but that's okay. I'm not the one that I'm trying to sell to.
True.
So again, it goes back to, you have to sort of be sensitive to what did the gamers want?
Sure.
And kind of, but still be true to yourself within that paradigm. And that's what I try to do, I think I'm evolving. If you look at my style from the beginning to now, I think there's very little. I mean, there's a connection if you think about it, but it's not that obvious.
Well, I mean, going along the lines of the GMT, Volko, I mean, he's got the new Nevsky coming out with that whole new line. I mean, it was coined, and now it's gonna be this, I forget what they call the line, but, Nevsky's gonna start
It's
it off.
Levy
Levy and
and
campaign.
something.
Levy and campaign, that's it.
Levy and campaign.
So it's a whole new line that he's gonna explore, and it's, if you're a designer, be, like you said, true to yourself, and find something you like, stick with it, and, explore it, and that's what
I'll
he's
tell you
doing.
something funny about the SPI.
Mhm.
So we used to have this. Jim Dunnigan is a very big. He made his money as a quant on Wall Street. So
Sure.
before that, he was a quant at SPI,
Mhm.
and he had the feedback cards, and he was going through all this stuff. And so there were 6 games a year,
Mm.
and there were 5 games that were fed back, and that's how I got to do games. I had fed back games that people wanted to play, and I did them, and they got published.
Sure.
But one of them was the editor's choice. Jim didn't have to worry about the feedback. But
Yeah.
I think one of the best games that SPI ever did was Battle for Germany, because nobody would have agreed to have that published, because it wasn't like what they had.
Sure.
And I learned a lot from that. So for me, when I do a game, I'm doing editor's choice. Just within the paradigm of time and resources.
Whatever's easiest, yeah.
So there it is.
So, one thing that I think is fascinating at the moment, and that is spurred by some stuff that you guys are doing, is the digitization of board games.
Mhm.
So, I know GMT just announced they're doing like coin games and Labyrinth digital. I know you put Lock and Load Tactical digital. I know there's digital versions of Academy games coming out. I think, and we've, even from Twilight Struggle, just having that on an app that people play and it's against the AI, there's so much discussion online about the app and the AI. And I've had people comment on videos that we've done, they say, hey, I
What should I do
played
here?"
this game, I love this game. Is there anything else you'd recommend? And I think the digitization of board games helps get, it's $5 to have that in your phone. People play it and they're like, oh, I want more.
Yeah.
And I think playing against the AI is fine, but then that it whets people's appetite to play against an opponent. I think that's going to drive board game sales. Specifically, helps people to get into war games, because you get some of these not war games, Twilight Struggle. And I think that's going to be an interesting shift to see digital sales impacting and growing kind of physical sales. I'm very interested to see how that's going to play out in the next few years.
Möchte mich entschuldigen, dass ich manchmal zu viel töttere, aber
Too much whiskey?
no. I said in German, that sometimes I tutter too much. I say stuff very bluntly, and then I say it bluntly by German thing maybe. But again, SPI, love. Asmodee, please don't bomb my company. Please, Lock and Load is my love, so please don't bomb my Lock and Load company. I'm shifting,
By Tuesday,
Deflecting.
Asmodee buys Lock and Load and Academy Games.
There you go. And we'll be in the Bahamas by an island.
Yeah.
and-
It worked.
yeah,
We're marketing.
yeah. And who was the one who was in Malta?
Oh, Rado.
Rado.
Yeah.
Duh, I drew a brain
Yeah.
fart. And he's now back in America.
He's good.
Oh, is he now?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm
I
so
didn't know that.
disappointed because
Oh,
my
that was
dream
part of the
was to
mystique is
being
become
in
his
Malta.
neighbor over there, and
Yeah.
now he's in Colorado somewhere. He's your
Oh,
neighbor,
man.
probably.
All right.
Who the
So-
hell wanted to be in Colorado? Sorry, Dave.
I don't know where he is, but anyway, my comment is the gaming industry is a wonderful industry. I've been
Yeah.
in many industries. I've been in the steel, industrial, beauty industries, online gambling industries, and this is a first industry where really 99% of people are really great people.
Mhm.
They're really good
Yeah.
because we have an all passion for gaming.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is that we have intellectual property that can't be easily copied and knocked off. So like we have a Mark game out there, you're not gonna get Abdul Rafal coming up and saying, hey, I've got a game almost as good, or a Shenghuan Chinese manufacturer saying, as good as Mark's, get mine instead of his.
Yeah.
Or it's like a good novelist, you know, if I have a Grisham novel, I'm not gonna buy a game at half price because they
Yeah.
say it's as good. So I think that's maybe one reason why there's so much helping and cooperation, because there is that intellectual property.
And
one
respect.
thing we didn't talk about is the fake games coming into the market,
Oh, yeah.
like Ticket to Ride and all that. I mean, Alan Moon is losing millions every year.
Yeah. From
Because of-
Amazon, they're
yeah,
all over Amazon.
I heard up to
Yeah.
30% of these games are fakes that
Yeah.
are being,
The knockoffs.
yeah,
Shame.
knockoffs being shipped,
Yeah.
sold directly to
Yeah.
distributors at third the
What they
price,
call Ticket to Ride.
Yes.
like Ticket to Ride
No,
and
they
games
call
like
that-
that.
Pandemic's
No.
a big one that's suffering
Pardon me?
as well.
Is that actually what it says in the box?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's Ticket to Ride is the game, yeah, it's
Oh,
a 100%
knockoff.
knockoff,
Counterfeit, yeah.
100%
Total
knockoff,
knockoff box. Yeah.
100% knockoff.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, that's
Well,
something we're
when
gonna
the
look
retail
at.
goes for, well, just for lack of better, you know, for.
Yeah,
for
third the
argument's sake,
price.
$50 and you're buying it for 25
Right.
on Amazon, it's probably a knockoff.
Isn't
And it
it
is.
copyright
Yeah.
infringement somewhere?
Of
There
course,
is- there is
Yeah,
China,
of course, and
there's
that's
no
what
way
they're
you're gonna
fighting
get
now.
it.
But the problem is that the distributors are buying it directly from these sources in, so it's hard to get them overseas, but my whole point is that gaming market is great, and it's just a wonderful market, and I'm just so grateful to be in it, with, like, even us here sitting and talking.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and,
Competitors, but not competitors.
I don't see us as competitors at
what I'm
all.
I
saying-
don't either.
On a, you
I
know,
think Mark would disagree.
in a.
I just, you know why? Because every game that he gets a new player to game, I'll guarantee you, that player sometime next 3 years is gonna buy one of our games.
Yeah,
And every game
there's
that-
there's too many people, too few games.
You gotta
There's
keep,
no
you gotta
problem.
make more games, I need you to go faster.
I don't know, I'm gonna put out 7 this year, that's pretty good.
Only 7?
7.
Yeah.
I
Damn.
put up one every
Damn, I
4
suck.
years. Yeah, I
That's the attitude, well, damn, I suck. He's got 7 games. I can't even do 7 reviews. No, but, Dave, your turn.
You know, I'm just, I'm thankful, I'm proud, and, about being part of the group, there you go. And I'm really, what I like most about this type of thing is, the team spirit. I mean, no one knows this, but you know, not a lot of people knows, but Uwe, 2 separate companies making games that compete on relatively in the same scale. He licensed me his solo system so I can make it out of my game. What industry does that? Is Coke licensing the, you know, formula to Pepsi? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that type of stuff,
make good games.
you know, is unique, I think. I also, honestly, I like to thank my team, Mark, giving me the chance. I hope I never lose willing to give someone who's maybe
You're
not,
probably the best thing I ever did in the industry, so.
you know, and I just hope never to lose that, you know, giving someone who's maybe the underdog a chance, because, you know, that's, to me, that was a big deal, and, it still is, actually. And,
Well, that's what you actually did for me, so I appreciate that.
there you go.
Andy, you were never an underdog, though.
Well,
You were-
when I was first starting out.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all start out kind of, you know, half-assed. We all do. And we find our pace. We find our
him a
place.
We had
half-ass?
we had
I'm a
36
half-ass
views
dude.
our first
But what I'm
time.
saying is, we all start, we all
36.
make mistakes, but, you know, we all find our pace and our place and everything else. You found yours, you've got your wife to help out as well, and everybody loves Gimpy's Gal.
What we're really good about this is I'm a good talent scout.
Yeah.
But, no, and the guys who work with me, I thank them for, you know, really just having them, my wife, who hopefully might watch us someday, for her support, because you know what? It's the whole wheel, it's not just one spoke in the wheel that makes this work.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I just wanna, one of the things I love about gaming is connections.
Yeah.
You said it, Mark. I love to meet new people. I love to talk to people. I love to hear what people think. I have seen some of the most amazing kindnesses in the wargaming world.
Yeah.
Today we spent half the day together. Thank you, Mark.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, Mo, you walked us around the other day for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
And
What we're
that's
all
what
here for.
amazes me. I just see it every day, and I try to do the same thing. We try to reach out, we try to help people, but it's a family. And it sounds corny, it sounds hokey, but we're a family. And I think that's what wargaming is about. That's what I think it's about.
every con is like Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
except you don't get into arguments.
Yeah,
over
there's no
politics.
fights.
You
Yeah,
find,
yeah,
you
you
find
just-
on the table.
You find on the
everyone
table
spreads
and
away,
then
it's
you
over.
drink whiskey and who gets all silly. But I love picking on women. But no, seriously, it's a lot of fun and it's okay. I love you. There you go. There you go. Oh,
So-
poor Uwe.
A few too many drinks.
Exactly. But seriously though, it is a great community and great designers, great publishers, great people that are supporting it, and I'm just really honored to be part of it. And I appreciate all you guys taking your time tonight to come in and drink all my whiskey.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Red Rising, one of the best books
You were
I've
telling-
read in the last
You were
decade.
telling us about that yesterday.
Pierce Brown, get Red Rising, read it, phenomenal. Annie with an E on Netflix, my wife is making me watch, 2 thumbs up.
Thanks, guys, for sticking with us this long, because it was way longer than we wanted it to be. We wanted it to be an hour. I know, Mark's like, guys, I gotta go to sleep. I gotta drive.
Yeah, 6 hours.
Yes,
You have
he's
6
gotta
hours
drive
now?
6 hours. No.
Oh,
Tomorrow
tomorrow.
morning. Tomorrow morning.
Oh,
So,
He's gotta be home by like noon, right?
I got people showing up.
Yeah.
oh crap.
It'll be all right. It's all good, don't worry.
Gamers or like
this
relatives?
is why we feel like family. You feel like you're in a family conversation right now.
Yeah.
So,
The wife, girlfriend, my.
your wife
And girlfriend at the same time?
Whoa!
Yes.
Wow, I now am
You got
impressed.
game.
The same person.
Oh, same person. Oh,
Always
you had me
sorry.
going
That's,
there.
that's a little cheating now.
Yeah.
Always look at your
No,
wife
no,
as your
cheating is
girlfriend.
separate.
Always look at your wife as your girlfriend because you always have to impress her.
Yeah.
That's the good thing.
Look, I've been married 40 years, I know what to do.
There you go. So anyway, thanks guys for tuning in. I really appreciate everybody spending the time here. We had Grant and Alexander from Players Aid. We had Dave Heath from Lock and Load. Uwe Eickert from Academy Games. Mark Herman. Don't need to say more.
Alright, can you stop saying
A
my
lot-
name last because
a
it's
lot
like
of-
and Gimpy.
No,
Wait.
Not gonna say it, Gimpy. And we had
Nate.
the other people back there that aren't on camera. And we also have Nate, the Gimpy Gamer,
Yeah, they.
my brother Marine.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks for joining in, guys. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. See you next time.
Thank
I'll
you.
take it.
Alrighty, guys.
I like your reviews, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate
Appreciate
it.
What was all about?
Just remember my name in your
Holy crap, I did not expect that.
How long was it? My ass is numb, thank you there.
I figured
You know what? No, it was.
a bit
It was. Never.
First time for you guys.
Nice to meet you. Actually, have these ones.